AskGunQuestions.com is a website that we built back in 2007, and since then, for the last 15 years, people have been able to ask questions of simple to advanced nature, and we attempt to answer them in different ways over the years. Join us now as we start a new series to answer gun questions.
And welcome everybody. Hopefully my audio is working all right today. Starting to show off with the puppy co-host, and we're going to be doing an Ask Gun Questions today, focused on the SHOT Show. What? Guess why? Because it's coming up in a week or so. All right, so to get us started, we're going to throw one more commercial out there for our store. If you want to grab stuff from our store, it helps us get to SHOT and do stuff there. So we appreciate that. I'm going to throw a commercial up here first.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
All right. So Tony will be joining us here in a little bit. He is driving. I started this show. Oh, is it bad? I'll put it over here. I have it set to that mode where it's, I think, what do they call that? You have to be in front of it. Is this better? Thanks for the feedback. Tony's going to be in here in a bit, but I just figured I'd get started because I totally forgot it was the show today. So a little bit later than normal, but thanks everybody for joining us live. We do these for the podcast, but of course, I value the live stuff. You know, we go live because the internet is interactive, and you can read anything on a newspaper, you can watch stuff on TV or movies or whatever, but with the internet, we can truly go back and forth in real time. That all gets recorded. People see interaction between real human beings, and it's reality. It isn't some scripted, agenda-based thing. So I really do value the people that join us live for these shows. Thanks for that. And the people that listen to in the podcast. Much appreciated as well. Give us some thumbs up and likes and things on those podcast platforms. No one really does that. That's why we have to ask for it all the time. But that's why it makes such a big difference when you do. So we'll also say thanks to our Patreons and channel members, the people that subscribe to what we do. We have servers, we have software that takes money, and then taking the time away from it's a whole bunch of stuff over there I could be making money on. But I'm spending time on this, thankfully. I'd much rather be doing this. I used to be able to do this stuff full time, but our Patreons make it possible for us to spend time on this stuff. So thanks for that. Hopefully we'll find this of value. We're going to be talking about SHOT Show today. Normally on Saturdays, though, we get together with Tony and talk about gun questions. People ask gun questions like the intro said. But this time we have a bunch of SHOT Show questions. Of course, if you're joining us live and you've got questions, feel free to throw them in there. And thanks again to Ghost for the feedback on the mic. So let's say hey to everybody joining us live. Christian 740 is out there. Welcome. He's going to SHOT Show year 2 or 3. Keith Gregory joining. Welcome. Not sure your SHOT Show status. Ghost, did you say you're on 5? Not sure. And we're not, I don't know. If we just count, we know that that's 6 years, but 5 sessions because of SHOT Show being scared that 1 year. Mike White. Also, not sure your position on SHOT Show. Feel free to leave it. Let us know. But unless you say you're out there, and how do we know you're out there? So let us know you're out there, and we can say, hey, Chris on year 2. Right on. So we'll dig into some of the questions about pre-show planning. One of the biggest questions that comes in often, lots of people ask this one, is there any must-see booths or brands for my audience? So, you got to know your audience. One, you're allowed to have some influence on that. What you're going to point your camera at and what you decide to deal with is going to be, what exists. So that'll be the product or your content. So first off, if you go there and do a bunch of flashlight and knife videos, don't expect to get a bunch of hunters in there. I shouldn't say it that way. Don't expect to get a bunch of, flashlight knives are a bad example. If you do boots, don't expect to get a bunch of people who are in boats. Let's put it that way, because boat people might like shoes or something, right? So don't put stuff that's outside the realm of stuff. Don't put a bunch of rifle ammunition videos up if you're trying to attract handgun people. Maybe that's a better one to say. So focus on whatever your focus is, but at the same time, SHOT Show is an awesome opportunity to explore a little bit. So feel free to get a sample. It's a buffet, right? After all, and you might have gone to that buffet because they have the best crab legs or whatever it is. But it doesn't mean you can't try the desserts or you can't try something on the salad bar and find out that maybe I like those pickled things that I never knew about before. Because you're not going to go to the store and buy a whole jar of them, right? So SHOT Show lets you experiment. I'm going to do a couple of boots, maybe backpacks or something that you haven't done before. And as I was trying to struggle for two things that are separate, there's not very many separate things. Hunters are going to like knives. Maybe not every knife, but, they need knives. But let's get back into it. Another question that comes up quite a bit is, which industry trend should I prioritize covering? And that's a good one. Thanks for that one. The industry trends are a tough one. I attempted to do that for a bit. It just doesn't interest me enough. But you've got the ones I always mock, which are the caliber debates. We have new calibers coming in, new calibers leaving, people with different levels of interest in these things. So, there's that. And then just what people own. If you own 2,000 rounds of a caliber, it's going to be really tough for you to suggest that isn't the greatest caliber ever, right? So you got those kind of debates, your red dots and all that kind of stuff. So right now, I think an interesting one, which might be a bit cutting edge, is night vision, seeing in the dark, seeing with thermal. That stuff is the technology is advancing and things are getting different. I don't want to say cheaper because that's silly, but they're getting different. And you can there's that. Some years it's been mag loaders. Remember, some years it's been mag loaders was the big deal. Ghost is saying this is the year of 2010s or 2011s. So I guess that means not a 1911, but a 2011. So double stack 1911s. What was the plan for the dogs this year? We have a dog sitter. It was cheaper to bring out someone to watch the puppies every day than to put the puppies up. So this puppy is going to SHOT Show, and he'll be sleeping like this, hopefully soundly, on top of a hotel bed. Well, no, not a week from now. He'll never be sleeping on a hotel bed on a Saturday, but at some point next week, this dog will be being watched by a human while in Vegas. So we're bringing him up this year. I'm not going, but I think it's important all of the way around. Right on. Would be the 6th. Right on. That's what I'm counting. Since we all have that year off, there was no way to have gone to SHOT Show that year. I'm just not counting that one anymore. So I have to start saying this is my 18th year, even though it's the 19th year, I guess. My family recommends the Buddy Sandwich Shop if you're looking for food you can carry with you to the convention center. Interesting. Well, there's a couple of things there. You're not supposed to bring food in, so you wouldn't want to bring in a big bag of some store, right? Like some restaurant. You're not supposed to bring food into the building. Plus, you can't bring it into the show. Plus, so the SHOT Show doesn't want it there. The convention center doesn't want it there, and the hotel doesn't want it there. The hotel's selling you food, and they don't want to clean it up. The convention center's selling you food, and they don't want to clean it up. And SHOT Show doesn't care about it, so they're just going with the other rules. So nobody's patting you down, but I'm just throwing that out there. Nobody's delivering. You're not getting Uber Eats delivered to you at SHOT Show that I'm aware of. Unless they've changed the rules, they want you to eat at the concessions there. That being said, I don't think food at SHOT Show, I don't know what it's like for some people. Maybe some people that are skinny, they deplete their whole energy and they fall apart and they just have to lay down or something if they walk around too long. But I can walk around all day long and not eat anything. Maybe it's the superpower of being a fat dude, but I can walk around the entire day and not eat anything. I like to drink water, but you could bring a granola bar or a piece of something that has protein in it, some peanut butter or something, and then eat in Vegas. I don't eat at the show, but I do appreciate the recommendation. I don't know if anybody else, like if you're working at a booth, I'm sure they've got methods of alternate, meals besides what's available there, but I have no idea. But thanks again for the suggestion. But I personally don't eat it shot. I like say if I'll eat some of the free stuff they give us sometimes in the media room, but it's usually garbage food. I don't like it. It's a bunch of high fat, high carbohydrate stuff. I mean, I guess maybe on the third day, it's okay to eat like a big greasy biscuit or something for breakfast, but I'm not interested in eating that necessarily for breakfast. I'd rather eat clean for breakfast and then eat uh, like in Vegas. It's Vegas for crying out loud. Eat, have fun, have your fun eating in the evening. Ghost says he takes sandwiches around to eat, but peanut butter and bread, peanut butter and jelly. Like I say, everybody's different when you're talking about depleting energy all day long. You can just get real fat, and then you just have your energy with you all the time. All right, so next question that comes in as far as pre-show planning, and there's still opportunity for pre-show planning, so I think it's worth spending the time here. Too many people have preconceived notions. Too many people watch what other people have done, and everybody, I think, once you're at shot, you think, at least for a little while, especially on your way there, like you got nothing else to do while you're on your way there. Now, hopefully you're driving, and you're the driver, so now you're distracted by actually driving. And everybody else, though, who's flying or just passenger or whatever, you've got nothing else to do with your mind except think about all the stuff you could have prepared for. So this is the time when you can alleviate some of that anxiety or stress by doing as much prep beforehand as possible. So this next one that comes in is unique interview targets. So that's an interesting one, and I really appreciate that one because I don't think that opportunity is taken advantage of enough at SHOT Show. Unfortunately, selfies exist, and people have been satisfied by that because, I've seen somebody else do it, so it's the custom now. I'm just going to be done with it. And if a selfie creates an introduction to somebody, great, but a selfie alone is essentially just not much. So the interview targets, though, meeting people at the show, inventors, people that, innovators, the people that kind of started things. You have the opportunity to see people that started some of the sporting competitions that are out there, people that started calibers or rifle types, people that started like types of training or types of, whatever techniques that we use. Fuller, for example, or the Tooler. What am I saying? Fuller. There's about 3 Fullers, but the Tooler drill is what I was thinking. There's lots of different things like that. And interview targets, think about who's around and who's not going to be around forever, and not just from age. Sometimes people are just not going to be around forever. Companies don't last forever, and having interviews with people could be interesting. I think, one of probably the only interviews with the guy from that zip gun. Everybody hated that gun. I thought it was awesome. So I had a conversation with him there at the show. I don't know if anybody else even bothered. They just went straight to hating that gun. Let's see. Then we get creative content angles beyond product demos. That's interesting. So maybe scheduling some factory tours, doing some kind of challenges. Gizzard does a show on Friday nights, and Snob and them were talking about doing some kind of a challenge over at the shotgun shoot or the shotgun area of the media day at the range. That's interesting. I don't know. At first, you got to think, well, they're not there for that. They're there to demo the guns. But specifically in the shotgun area, nobody's over there. So I would almost wager that they would say, yeah, sure, do whatever you want. Have some fun. As long as it's safe, do whatever you want because nobody else is coming over here anyway. So you could probably do something like that, have some kind of a contest. Now, if you went to the most popular thing there, some kind of PKM sticking out the top of a vehicle, the most impressive thing that could possibly happen at Media Day would be a full auto bell-fed PKM that pops out of a turret off of the top of a van, obviously. So if something like that happened and you wanted to monopolize it for like an hour doing some kind of skit, they're probably going to tell you to go blow smoke. But you go over to the shotgun things and give them attention, yeah. And there's probably different, in between there. You go to a less popular thing, and they brought out a lot of ammo. I mean, I can definitely guarantee you, I've spent some years at SHOT Show just shooting thousands of rounds of ammo. I've shot 1,000 plus, way more than 1,000 rounds of ammo through an AK at SHOT Show when nobody wanted to walk down to the AKs that year. And we were the only ones giving them any love, and they didn't want to bring all that ammo back. So we could have definitely done some stuff down there as far as like having contests or competitions or something. Let's see, the last one, we're just going to do 5 for each of these sections so it doesn't last forever. We're about 15 minutes in. Tony said he'd be getting here somewhere around now, so he'll be jumping in here. But think about some creative angles, not just, physically moving your camera to a different angle, although that would be creative, do that. But think about some different ways to approach the show. I asked how long people have been going to the show. Chris said 2 years, but I suspect he's been aware of it for more than that. Ghost this will be his, what do you say again, 5th year? 6th year. But again, how many years were you aware of it before that? But with 6 years, you've had enough time to see kind of the how things change, the subtle changes, and then the quick changes. There's some abrupt things that change, and there's some subtle things. And by being aware of that, you have the opportunity to show a side of SHOT Show that's never been shown before. It does mention community meetups, and I think that's a good one too. We kind of attempted those a couple of times over the years, but people default to petty bullshit and don't do it. But there's the opportunity to get together and strengthen community. Well, there's some groups that do that, but it's never taken advantage of as much as it could be. And I think if it was successful, if there were more successful versions of that, there's been some really exploitive shit over the years. And I can understand why some people might, I don't know, from like, let's say the 10s. If you've been going since 2010, there was some heinous bullshit that happened because everybody was jealous of the giant parties from, I don't know, like 12, 13, 14. Parties got really weird, and then they got ruined, like completely ruined in 16 and 17. And they're different now. And I don't know about the Glock party, but I know all the other ones got ruined with internet, with Instagram, specifically. So some of them came through that in different ways or whatever. But anyway, in Ghost, you've seen half that shit. So there's some ways that through, taking a camera or maybe a pen and describing some of these aspects, people can see why SHOT's so interesting for some of us who've been going for a while. Because I guarantee you, I don't even pay attention to the guns. Like, I don't have any idea what Colt is coming out with, or Ruger or something like that. And I usually kick myself a little bit because I'm like, oh, you kidding me? They had a cool gun? Shoot, I could have I could have stopped for a moment and looked to my left and seen it. I just didn't, because I was worried about other things. So there's so much stuff happening at the shows that, again, people covering some of that, I've attempted in the past. But so what? The audiences who are out there are different, appreciative of it, interested in it differently. So I like that one. Creative angles beyond product demos. And honestly, not too many people seem like they're hot on product demos anymore anyway, which means that you could go in there and do product demos this year and wail on it and pretty much own them, I think, because it seems like so many people are dismissing them. But let's move on to the last pre-show one, and that's logistics for filming and photography. We talk about this one all the time. I hate it because I'm the go small, bring a phone, and that's it. And not very few people, if anybody, agrees with me on that. So there's as many options for lighting and cameras as there is for red dots and grip angles. So that one I'll leave for other people, but you do want to get your logistics done ahead of time. No matter what you do want to be testing that already. Ideally, you go to gun shows and you test this stuff when the promoters of the gun shows say it's okay for you to, because that gets you the best background noise and just being around other people. And if somebody's going to say something and they say it and you go, oh wow, that's a pretty cool thing, I'm going to get a video of this, and then the next time they don't say it, maybe they're doing a demo, here's this, you look over their shoulder and you go, oh man, I'm going to get a video of that. The next time they go, here's that. You're like, dang it, you said different stuff last time. So, how are you going to deal with that? Figure it out at SHOT Show or figure it out ahead of time. It's a little late to kind of get that stuff down. But anyway, we'll keep moving. Most are saying year 3 for me. Right on. Ghost is saying it'll be game planning all the way through shot. Every day the plan could change. Oh, it definitely plans every day, right? Like, I think that's the one thing you can anticipate is that things will change. And those that are very rigid have, my experience, at least the worst time at SHOT Show, or at least the most narrow time. I guess you could have a good time with a narrow focus on like 8 things, and every morning you went in and looked at 2 things and then explored shot. Like, you could probably have fun doing it that way. But I think, again, being adaptable. I don't know. Is it better to get, this is a question for people that have been there more than a couple of times. Are you a better content creator that you've experienced that chaos and that amount of data? Or is it stifling because you know that it's oppressive or something? Like, I don't know. Everybody's different, I guess. That's a good one. Vulcan's asking, who makes the best tote bag at SHOT Show? I'll probably do an entire live on that. But the short answer is Condor has the most and the coolest looking because they have different camos and they're a fairly practical messenger bag. But SAR has a big, giant red color bag. And we all agree red's the dumbest color and it's a shitty color for them to pick. But the bag is decent. It's got a shit ton of pockets in it and it's really big. My experience with it is I broke every one that I had. But other people that carry around like 9mm fluff or whatever probably carried stuff fine in it. I only got a couple because they're red. If they would have been some decent color, I would have probably got a bunch of them because they were handing them out like water. SAR. So if you have SAR stuff, that's nice, but they're handing it out like water. So they're diluting their collectability immensely. So SAR stuff, there's no, I mean, they have a ton of swag and they have these like 3 attractive girls just pouring swag out of buckets as you walk by. Like, everyone had tons of SAR stuff. So their bags are good and everything, but they're hardly collectible. And who else has a decent bag? There's a couple of other bags, but they'll, bags are expensive. Condor brings, oh man, I forget. They told us, it wasn't $1 million. It couldn't have been $1 million. It had to be 100,000. It was some massive number that I was like, whoa, that's a huge number. Because they know people are grabbing 2 or 3 of them and they're happy about it because they say Condor all over them. So essentially, advertising for them. Everybody else that attends the show as somebody trying to do that can make like 1,000. They can make, a couple of hundred. There's no way they can make as many as Condor. So the others are gone. What's going on? Oh, I know. Hold on. There we go. The others are usually gone. So somebody might have a better bag, but I don't know about it. Actually, when I do the video, I don't pay that much attention to bags. They're not as important as badge holders. So when I do the video and I pull all the bags out of my bin, because I have a giant bin of bags right now, there was actually probably some cool camo ones or something. But again, like, good luck trying to. They're probably never going to do them again. And even if they do, there's probably like 100. So you have to, like, first day of SHOT Show, run in there and grab one. And sometimes when they only do 100, you won't just give them out to everybody. You'll have to know them or you have to do something to get one. So Tony's joining us. Thanks for jumping in. Gives me a chance to stop talking for 20 minutes straight. How's yours?
Hey, what's going on, man? How do I sound?
Good. You still driving?
Yeah, I'm still driving. It's a 2-hour trip out to this range, this particular range. At a winter shoot. And this time I took my M68 clone out with a 1.8 optic and the Ruger 1022 in a high tower armored, what do you call that? P90 chassis. Because they had a little 22 shoot set up at 50 yards that you competed in. And I get up there and discover that I'm an idiot. I only have one magazine that I find in the car. I could not find my 1022 mags. So they're in my other range bag at home, again, 2 hours away. And the magazine is one of those Butler Creek, I think you call them, 25 rounders, but it's limited to 10. And they have a coupling on them where it has a button on the side. Well, that button prevents me from using the chassis. So I'm sitting on the line with my 22 mag and a multi-tool, sawing a plastic button off the side of my magazine to use it in the competition.
Damn,
so I
did
get
you get
that
it sawed
done.
off of there? Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, I sawed it off. I hacked it off. Pull out my ammo, load it up, get behind the sight, and now it's 50 yards, and you can have a non-magnified optic. Well, I have a red dot. Battery's dead. Okay, got a battery. Not worried about it. The top of the cap is seized. It will not turn. It will not come off. I'm like, okay, maybe I can use my laser. You're not seeing a laser at 50 yards. So I just use the spirit of my ancestors. Got a good shoulder mount. Got on the rifle bag. And just imagine where the red dot will be and squares off 10 rounds at a about 4-inch target at 50 yards. One round hit at the number 7, and the rest of them were high. So I turned that in at the end of the day as my score. Maybe no one else competed in that division. I don't know. I put that on, and I was told that I could have it on 1 and compete, but then I had to try to zero it at a competition. It didn't work out. So yeah, I turned in 1 freaking shot, and I'd taken the 1-8 off my zeroed M16A4, and now it's not the zeroed M16A4 anymore. So anyway, I still had fun.
From that.
I still had fun, had a great time, and one of the couple there had a AR in 458 Bushmaster. So I got to run 10 rounds at 100 yard steel target and just beat the crap out of it. It was great. So that was some fun. We were firing, I think, 320 or 350 grain rounds out of the 458 with a Voltal ore, and I forgot the name of the other. Starts with one of those companies that used to make really cool offers. It was one of the cool guy club ARs back in the day, and I haven't heard much
They
from
say a V like victory, like Voltar?
Yeah, it was Voltar lower, but the top started with T as in Taylor.
Oh, okay.
DR, I forget the name of it. It was one of the very popular. They were the ones on the cutting edge green, like 458, SOCOM, and 450 Bushmaster ARs.
All
I
right.
think they also had a shot number. Anyway, that's what I was doing today. Not really super upset, but had a killer post on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it.
I
Over
barely
10,000.
checked Twitter 3 times. Oh shit! Got sick of his breaking up all the time, so I kicked his ass out of here. Sick of people joining my chats that aren't 100% clear. If you're not 100% clear, perfect, on script, I'm kicking you out of here. So he's driving. Hopefully, come back up out of a hill or something and be back. I'm going to go on to the during the show questions. So we've got, I guess I could have started this thing out. We've got the top 25 questions that are asked about SHOT Show. There he is. You were breaking up a little bit, so I figured that was maybe moving cell towers, or you went down a hill?
Yeah, I'm over here in Pennington, New Jersey, so it got weird for a second. Yeah, I picked up 100 friggin' followers because of this post on Twitter.
Right on. What was it?
Oh, it was just, typical weapons of war thing. But it had a really good photo that I took at Train and Learn with a 45 ACP integrally suppressed AR. And I think it was just because the picture was good and the message was good, and that combo, struck a nerve. So it has 19,000 views right now. Lots of shares, and it was able to pick up some followers. Which the very same post was made into a reel on what's the stupid thing, IG, and barely has 500 views.
I was going to say, because back that would have been flip flopped. Maybe what, 6 months ago, and a year ago. I guess a year ago.
Yeah.
No, I can't. I only check out Twitter or whatever it's called every once in a while, maybe 3 times a week, maybe, just to make sure it's working and to see, because it's so angry. I just don't like looking at it as far as other people's posts. But then, like you, Rhonda Ezel, Jeff Knox, like some 2A people I follow use it all the damn time. So I'll go over there and scroll, and usually, I think, what is it, a heart over there? I always click the buttons wrong for the first couple because I don't use it enough. And then I'll retweet if I remember. Like, I'll try to retweet stuff every once in a while. So you'll see whenever I'm using it because I usually retweet once or twice and then get the hell out of there. But every time I scroll like that to try to help people I know, because my account ain't huge over there, but it's been around for a while and it's large. So I figure, it's got to be helping a little bit, but the logarithm or whatever, if I take the time to do that once in a while. But I'll see people who I know that are being mopes. Like, I don't understand it. I guess if you're not, you can have down times or whatever, but to just constantly be moping is annoying. I don't like to look, I don't want to be part of that when people are just constantly moping about everything. And if they're just going to re-mope, the repost mope bullshit, like, oh, look at how everything's going to die, end of the Roman Empire, economies can't last forever, what are we thinking? I'm like, you would probably get mad at people that say the environment's about to break because you think it's too strong to break, and they're complaining that it's too fragile and it's going to break, and you would not tolerate that opinion. But now you're over here saying the economy's going to break, and you can't tolerate the opinion that it's large enough to not just be that fragile. But anyway, so it gets frustrating to look at, and that's just one aspect of it. There's so many things that people are. I can be open conversations with people once you get into the politics and stuff. I just don't get into it that much because it's, like I say, people seem to really agree.
I look, Twitter and Instagram is the same. I'm only going to talk about Second Amendment stuff, and then I'm bailing. You're not going to catch me up in anything else. And I try not to negativity.
I get with you at the political stuff, but on the Instagram, I still like Instagram because what was I showing earlier? I think I showed something earlier in this chat or somewhere. But, or no, I was showing something to Clover where some wreck happened on his route that he's going on, and, some snow caused accident happened. And I was just letting them know, hey, wow, just so there's snow on that route or whatever. That's the kind of stuff that'll come up randomly. Or, I don't know, I was watching something clever. I always think, oh, this is super clever. I'm going to remember it all day, and I'll go look at it on the computer later. But there was some clever tool, and I can't remember what it was, but it was like a router or something, like maybe a router table or something I just thought was clever. And then I thought, oh, yeah, it might be a project to try to put together. Or maybe I can turn something I got into that or something. So those kind of posts, I don't get those on Twitter. I never get like, oh, that's interesting. Like Pinterest. I don't know if you've ever been on Pinterest, but Pinterest is, at least for me, it's nothing but like, here's a clever idea. Here's some way of using that you never thought of before. Like, don't throw that away. Do this with it. Pinterest is super practical and fun. Twitter's like just politics and news. So maybe it's the people I follow. Maybe I should flip over to my Gear channel and look around there. But anyway, we're talking too long on that. We're talking SHOT Show and 25 questions the top 25 questions people have asked about SHOT Show, and then there's been some coming up in the chat already. So this next one is for during the show, what's the best times to hit the floor for optimal footage? Like when to avoid crowds, or what's the golden hour? Again, if you're doing footage, okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, you may have a better idea than me, because I'm looking at it as in hit it first thing in the morning and just work all day. There is not going to be a down time. Maybe towards the end of the day when everybody's worn out, that could be your time. But I'm just looking at, I'm going to do my thing. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
I had to get rid of him because I didn't like his answer. No, he's driving, so whatever, he'll come back. I think that's a pretty good answer. There are no good times, like just what Tony said right there, that, maybe the end of the day because everyone's tired. I guarantee you, if you show up to some people at the end of the day, they're either going to be so self-conscious, I guess, that they're going to be like, oh man, I'm scared to do it now. I'm not on my game. Like, no. And some of them will have had bad experiences in the past being sluggish early, too early in the morning or too late at night, and they'll say no. They'll just be like, no, come back tomorrow or you missed it. But some of them who can make the decision will say no. But unfortunately, some of them don't have the knowledge to do that, or they don't have the whatever to do that, and they'll do their video with you, and it'll even make your video suck, right? So you're embarrassed of it because they did such a poor job, or it'll make them look bad. And if you post it thinking, hey, I was at SHOT Show and it cost me a lot of money to post this, but it makes them look bad, you're not helping them, you're not getting in good with them. So you're not helping nobody, so if they are not energetic or they're not even enthusiastic, how do you know if they're enthusiastic, what they consider enthusiastic? So it's really tough. You can't go in the morning and expect people to be on their game, but some people are on their game in the morning. So these are going to be a lot of contradictions. You definitely don't want to assume everybody wants to film in the evening. There's just no way to assume that. There's going to be some people that'll require it, but most people are going to say, don't film me. I don't want to film anymore in the last hour. They want to get the hell out of there. They're just like any store. You go into a restaurant and ask for the biggest plate of stuff with garnish on it at the last couple of minutes of the night. I don't know if anybody ever does that, but don't ever do that, right? Don't go into a booth and expect them to be on their A game right when they want to get out of there. Maybe they got a party. Maybe they just want to go sleep. Maybe they just got to go to the bathroom. So during lunch, same thing. What if they're just super dying to get out of there to go eat, and you want to do a thing so there's just no good answer, right? So I don't want to make it sound like there's never a good time. So my answer to that in reality would be best times to hit the floor is just do it. Like, I don't understand the people that don't want to take advantage of the opportunity to film while we're there. We've filmed 340 videos in our most year, but I usually film about 20 or 50. Like, there's no way to not film a ton of videos. There's so much stuff there. So unless you're not able, or you're super, I don't know, like, I can't imagine being that busy that you can't pause every once in a while, every time you see something interesting, or, occasionally when you see something interesting, and make a quick video. I mean, on your first year, don't expect to just casually walk into a booth and make a video, but by your second or third year, by your fourth day of SHOT Show, you ought to be able to just casually walk into a booth and film a video. Hey, do you mind if I film this? Thanks. Click, and boom, get a business card, take a picture of it, make some notes to yourself on a second video, and move on. Now you've got another piece of content. So even people that don't go there, right on, Tony's out there saying he's just got back, so perfect. But even people that are going there for other things, it's possible to just get a ton of content. So anyway, my answer is take content constantly. Get content as much as possible. If your issue is that you have to set up to get good content, then get better than that. Like, get beyond that. You should not be able to use that as an excuse. Get content. Now here's what happens. A lot of people go, oh, I'm going to fuck off all night. You got to fucking bleep tension, blah, blah, blah. Do stuff in the afternoons, do stuff in the evenings. Go nuts. Kids, have fun with that. The people that are there for business are going to go home and check their footage. And now you check your footage and, oh no, that guy hadn't had his coffee yet. That guy needed to go pee. Like, she was not happy because her hair was goofy, right? It was a perfect conversation, but her hair was goofy. Like, now you can go up on Tuesday. Let's see, that was Tuesday or Wednesday, let's say. Now you can go up on Thursday and say, you know what? I was reviewing the footage and here's the problem, or here's what was so good about it. I can't wait to get this up. I've never done such good footage before. Is it possible for you to send me something to accompany the video when I post it? Because this is going to be a big video for me. It doesn't have to be their gun. It doesn't have to be their flashlight. You can say, hey, can you send me your marketing stuff in the mail? Can you send me your catalogs and stuff so I don't have to carry it around? Would you mind doing that? What do you think? They're going to just send you a catalog? Somebody will, but most people are going to throw some other stuff if they're already sending you stuff. So, open up your doors, get your opportunities there. Anyway, take all these videos that you can as often as you can. I keep saying Tuesday, the first day of SHOT Show, is not the day to do this stuff, but I don't mean take no content. You better come home with at least 50 or 40 videos on the first day, or else you ain't trying. But that doesn't mean that's all you should be doing. You should be walking the show, getting your free stuff, meeting your people, doing your thing, exploring the show, seeing what the size of it is. And then on Tuesday, you go back and wail on it with videos, getting products and stuff, and getting what you've already reviewed on that first day the evening of the first day, what you reviewed and what you know is good, what you need to reshoot. Oh, I got that, but the lighting was bad. Or I got that, but there was a line of people behind it. Or if I go do that tomorrow, there will be a line of people behind it. You can go do a booth review and make the booth look empty. You could do a booth review and make the booth look like it was the most popular booth at SHOT Show. How do you make it do both? You film it more than one day. You're there for 4 days. Go past that booth you want to work with somebody? Go film every single day at that booth. Get it when it's busy. Get it when it's closed. Have you ever walked up to a booth and said, "Hey, I'm a photographer. Would you need some professional pictures of your booth? I wouldn't mind taking some pictures of your booth and sending them to you." Don't charge for that. You'll get kicked out of SHOT. But if you walk up and just say, "Hey, I'm taking pictures anyway. Can I take some pictures of your booth?" Maybe they hadn't thought of that yet. Maybe they suck at taking pictures and they have snapshots of their booth, right? Like you can take as many pictures as you can is my philosophy. Value what you've got there as a resource, the time that you have invested, the money you have invested, and the scarce time that you have there. Review those videos instead of farting around in the evenings and then go back and make everything right, get everything perfect and duplicate that. If you've got everything right the first day, that's still possible. It's not like you're going to have all errors. So whatever you did right, go do that again tomorrow. It helps a lot when you know that you've got bad images or you didn't click the right video button for 2 or 3 products that you really wanted to get done, and you can go get them first thing tomorrow the next day while it's still fresh in your head, than trying to do it on Friday 4 days later of SHOT Show. 4 days later of SHOT Show might as well be 2 years from now as far as your brain's concerned. I'll move on to the next one. Hopefully Tony gets in there because I can't barely talk for this long in a straight line. And I tried to drink that coffee so fast, I spilled it all over myself. I can't even drink coffee anymore. Oh, I should have waited. There you are. Saved me. I can go about 10 minutes on a rant, and then I start coughing and my lungs collapse.
Yeah, the phone dropped off, and I was like 3 minutes away from the house. I was like, I'm not trying to go back in. Until I get to the house.
On the same thing. I think I pretty much have the same opinion. I just said do it as much as possible, and then look at it and redo anything you messed up.
Oh, definitely, 100%. Okay, I put a lot of pressure on myself going in the SHOT Show because I do not want to waste this opportunity. I don't want to waste a second of the day. So yeah, I've not seen any of Vegas, except when a friend of mine actually got me to go to a cigar bar, a cigar lounge outside of Henderson. And I didn't consider it a waste of time. My sister, who I rarely see, who lives in Phoenix, she came out. She came out and saw me in Vegas. She drove out to Vegas to hang out with me for a night. So we went to dinner, and I just got to visit her, which is hilarious because when I was in Phoenix to speak at the Second Amendment rally, my sister was in Australia. So I didn't get to see her. But yeah, don't waste your opportunity, man. You're out there once. Some of the guys, look, I'm not judging anyone. Okay, I might be judging a little bit. I'll go ahead and say it. I look at the amount of money I'm going to spend to get out the SHOT and understand the money that I have to travel to SHOT has been donated to by people that believe in what I do. And it's been collected at diversity shoots. There is no guaranteed paycheck in what I do. So I'm going to make every damn moment count. I see guys getting trashed at the Circle Bar. And I'm like, the Circle Bar for me is where it's a watering hole. You go meet, you shake hands, and you try to build on a personal relationship with some of these people, as in, hey, what's going on? My name is Tony. This is what I do. And you're outside of the booth thing, and we can have a conversation. I don't want to mess that up by getting drunk. I'm too dang old to drink until the crack of dawn. And then at 7 o'clock.
Before, right? You've had parties before. I don't have to do that where I'm paying a lot of money to do business. I don't need to prove to anybody I know how to have a party or be at a party.
I just saw John Crump's question. We can find Gay Street in Vegas together. just like we found Gay Street in whatever town in Pennsylvania we were in.
Thanks for the feedback, by the way. So the next one is strategies for capturing compelling product demos, close-ups, action shots, audience reactions. Have you done much product video?
I do it on range day. I mean, because that's media day at the range. People want to see the guns go pew. That was when I did the most of that because I believe that's what most people are interested in. When like going to the table with the flashlight and weapons mounted lights. Sorry, but they all look the same. And the lumens, you can't really tell in that SHOT Show environment unless I shine it on a specific spot on the wall. I was over at Nightlight's booth, Nightsticks booth, and there was just really no way to show it. I got some pictures, I got some video, but it really didn't look that exciting. And I was trying, you know what I mean? Like, how do I demonstrate a weapons mounted light on a flashlight other than showing someone, fully extending it? It's on a blue gun. So I don't think I did great outside of capturing as much footage as possible on the media day at the range. I think that was the good looking stuff. And I'm just keep recording, have my partners record and just keep recording, taking pictures, put it together in reels. I mean, I know other people have much better YouTube channels than I do, but I use my social media a lot and I can keep using it throughout however long I want to. You can put it together, chop it together in music, make, what do you call those things? Not a mural, a montage.
Montage.
Yeah, you can make montages of just a type of gun, like 1911s from different manufacturers. You can make it all product from the same manufacturer. Just work it. I even started videotaping other people and just trying to zoom in on their hands, while they're shooting a gun. So I'm not showing somebody that might not want to be seen or have given, their permission for me to use them. So it's like, yeah, I just want to see the gun shoot and somebody else.
Super valid. And you're also not wasting everybody's time. So it's a popular, let's stick to range day for a second. I'll talk about it in the shop here or in the store in a second. But that's a great point that if you insist on being on the thing and you're the one holding it, go for it. A lot of people do that. People dig it. But if you're really just trying to, experience the thing, and it's a busy one, not a line or whatever, or you just want to get through it, whatever the reason is, you're allowed to tap somebody on the shoulder. 99% of these people are looking for fame anyway. So what I would say, 89% of the people realistically are looking for fame. They want to be on camera. They don't care. So if you say, hey, can I film you doing this so I don't have to wait in line? So boom, that's one strategy right at the range day. Strategies for capturing compelling product video. If you insist on waiting in line and shooting everything, you're going to be there for an X amount of time. If you take the opportunity to talk to people and go, hey, I'm trying to blah, blah, blah. Can I just film you? And then I can show you my video. We can do a collaborative thing or something. And they might say, sure. And then they might say, I don't care about all that. Just film me. So either way, you can have other people hold the gun and shoot it. You still got your video. And now you can see the entire media day before some people are waiting in line and they go to one side or the other. Most people start and go right, go down to the hill and start at whatever booth those little handgun booths are down there. They ignore the shotgun booths, of course, glance over at the bikes or whatever thing they're driving around that year, and then slowly walk their way north and then never get to the north stuff, the stuff that's up by the highway. And then the people that do the other side, that go left and go up north and walk south, they do the same thing. They never get to the stuff on the south side. So my strategy for range day is, if you got two people, we'll have another conversation about having multiple people, because that definitely changes things completely. But if you're there by yourself, or you essentially doing your own content, go to a direction, left or right, and then walk the whole fucking thing. Like, walk that thing as fast as you possibly can and see what's up. Not knowing what's up at range day is your fault. It's your problem. If you didn't see something at range day, it's because you didn't. I mean, it's not that big a thing. It's definitely doable in a few hours, right? So walk the whole thing, figure out which ones have a big line, do everything else first, and then go wait in line. Don't be a sucker and wait in line first and then miss stuff.
Don't be stupid and go to Ruger's booth and stand there, because everybody's going to Ruger on the line.
Yeah, some people
So-
have one thing to do there, not anything else. So they'll wait because they don't care. Anyway, I'll quit
Mhm.
interrupting.
No, but it 100% true. And so with this, me, Rob, the guys on our show, the Gun and Gear Review podcast, Rob, Chad, Rusty, myself. So we went to the first one together, checked out some stuff. We went all the way up on the hill, started at the beginning over at Maxim's booth because that's who was there. And we realized these guys are dorks and they were not running. They changed it before the end of the day, but they weren't maximizing the time. Every time they had an important, and I do the air quotes, YouTuber, they'd stop the line so the YouTuber could fire the belt fed suppressed. And that just held everything up. And we all looked at each other and we're like, we're not going to sit here all day just to watch them allow other people to do this. So what we did was we split the team up and in twos so we could film each other. We can get also our, bounce stuff off of each other. And then we met up at the end and we got to see a lot more things. Even if we each didn't see the individual thing, we got to discuss a whole lot of the line. And it was really worthwhile because we found you have time for those smaller booths that are packed in really tight at the lower end of the hill, right? I mean, it's just like one, like Home Depot tent and a couple of tables. And you might pass right by Alpha Foxtrot and never see them. You've heard Alpha Foxtrot out of Georgia, right? Atlanta, Georgia. If not, it's a
No,
Korean
me?
company.
No.
It's a Korean company that makes 1911s and AR parts, and they really had some cool stuff because they even make a 1911 that takes a Glock mag. So we got to check that stuff out. I'd never heard of them before, but they were really nice guys, and there weren't a lot of people there, and they let us run magazine after magazine through their entire product line. So we had a lot of footage, which is great. I don't think I understand you go to SHOT Show and you want to get Springfield, you want to get CZ on the line, when you're out there. But there are a lot of other people that are going to get short shift, a lot of companies that are going to not get the coverage. Go with them. Everybody's dropping all the same stuff at the same time. So be different. You might get lost in the sauce. And there's nothing wrong with dropping stuff doing SHOT Show and then re-releasing it, cutting it up, putting it out as shorts 6 months later. One of the biggest things I got and one of the best feedbacks I got from SHOT was over at the Henry booth, the 9mm carbine that Henry has called the Homesteader. And every time somebody made a comment, I made a comment back. And I have I picked up a lot of followers from it and a lot of views from it.
Well, if we're talking Instagram and YouTube,
Yeah.
so let me take a second, and so otherwise I'm not making notes here. I'm fiddling with something, but
Okay.
so I'll just interrupt you instead of making notes. You got great points there. So first, if you're going to be filming at SHOT, sort of your pregame mental prep would be, or like walking through how you're going to approach booths and stuff. And I'll get to my other suggestions here in a second still, but is think about how it's going to be short format in the future too. So give yourself either the room or the framing or the bracketing or whatever that's called, whatever the terms are. Give yourself enough room in your video to be able to know that. Like think about how you're going to chop that up and reuse it, and then the second part was what did you just end with? You ended. Oh man.
Everyone's going to have it. There's no reason you shouldn't chop it up and use it later. Visit smaller venues because everybody's going to be visiting the big ones.
Yep, I lost it. Was no, I'll probably think of it if I'm trying to think of it. I was fiddling with stuff here. So we're an hour in. We've got quite a few people watching, and I've got lots of more stuff. So there's questions coming in, and I want to hit those. And we're only about we're just barely breaking into the top 25, and some of these are hopefully useful for people. I'm going to riff on insight. So we've been talking about it range day. Range day is 1 day out of 5. So it
Hmm.
is valuable and it's unique because it happens first, it happens outside, and it's perishable. There's only that 1 day of it. Um, but I'm going to talk about some of the notes I made from before, just thinking about strategies for capturing compelling product demos is the topic. Um, 1 year, Angie, when we say guys and girls at gun websites, Angie is our female crew member from back in the day. And she went to shot NRA show 2010 in when we went to North Carolina. And she was attempting to be a female firearms writer. So she was attempting to learn the industry, how to write and about guns all at the same time, just like a lot of people have done. So she had a challenge and she didn't want to suggest that she was more than she was, right? She was asking questions as part of her interviews at SHOT Show or her reviews or whatever we would call them back then. But what she did is consistently ask everybody what would be the best CCW gun for me. And she left it sort of open ended like that. And she's standing there. They have the ability to look at her and then make suggestions. So when she asked that consistent question to each booth, she got an answer from each of them that was interesting. But I think what stood apart was the booths. I think it was SIG, the booths that she went to where they said, well, how much training do you have? Or they said, what do you like? Instead of just saying, here's what we have that fits a girl, right? And I thought we didn't know that was going to happen, right? And she didn't know that was going to happen. But that turned out to be really, really cool. Now, this was 9 or 10, so I doubt very many people remember that. And this was like the beginning of videos at shows and stuff still. So it wasn't like people were looking forward to it. We were kind of thrusting it out there like, hey, we can bring videos to these shows. We don't have to just sit here. So it's not like it went viral or anything because there wasn't such a thing. But I think that is an example of something that you can do as part of your pre-plan that you can follow through and have an end result. Like you just said, a montage. We were able to do a montage. I think I was able to do a montage of those. Each video existed, like she went to this booth, went to that booth, and there's the whatever it takes somebody to tell a girl what gun she should carry, mansplain to her. What does that take? 5-10 minutes, depending on the booth. So you take the money shots out of each of them. You need a SIG, you need a Colt, you need a Ruger, whatever model. Again, I don't really keep track of what all those models were anymore. Whatever they were in 2010, I suppose. But it was a really cool video of all the people giving her an answer. And then the ones, again, that stood out were the ones that were like, the answer her question was, what do you like? Or how much training do you have? Essentially, those were the only two. Everybody else was like, this is what you want. This is what you want. And nobody was like, here's the pink one or anything like that. They were like, here's one that, your hand looks this size. Here's one that should work for you. Should be comfortable or whatever. Anyway, so that was one strategy of asking a consistent question throughout the show. You'll have a resource that no one else really has, unless they've done that strategy. As far as specifically, if you're not familiar with it, or if you're not having good success with filming at booths, everyone is there to demo. So if you go there on the first day, at the first couple of hours, they're going to be either rusty or figuring it out. But if you get there by the end of the first day, the end of Tuesday, definitely Wednesday or Thursday. Now, by Friday, they might be getting a little tired of doing it. So they might not be as enthusiastic as they want to be for filming. But any of the middle of the show, you can walk up and they're going to be doing their demo. Here's my flashlight. Here's my handguard. Here's my barrel. Here's whatever it is. And they're saying their elevator speech. And how long is the most complicated thing is going to be dumbed down to like, this is a beehive system instead of the squares, like whatever the most complicated thing is. They're going to give you their nuts and bolts. They're going to give you their, like, whatever they call that, draw the hook, like, hey, you're walking by. Did you know that these are free from rust or something? Like me? They're going to be doing whatever they're doing to get people to stop by their booth. So they're good at it. That's what they do. So don't go in there and be like, I want to film a YouTube video and I want to interview you. How about you just say, and this is, how I can get 340 videos at SHOT Show. Can we film you the next time you do that? And then they'll go, okay, because nowadays it's like, yeah, no problem. Back in the day, they'd go, and then you go, we only care about the product. You go, as they're going, you go, because that means I don't want to be on video. When they go, if there's any amount of pause, anything, like they're about to say something, that means they don't want to be on video. So you go, I'm only looking at the product. Because guess what? I've never looked at a person unless they're like somebody who's dancing around and half the product is on their face or something. I'm not looking at them. In fact, I've had people look at me like, "Oh, you're not looking at me?" And then they go, "Oh," and then they give the most enthusiastic product review they've ever done because they know I'm not looking up at them. And it's not about their face or their or what their hair looks like or the booth, because they might have their pepperoni pizza laying on the booth and they're going to get in trouble. But you wanted to film the video, and they need to film videos because nobody else came by. And now there's a video with the pepperoni pizza on the thing, and they don't even like it, or they're going to get in trouble. Like, are you paying attention to that shit? So yeah, you go, "Hey, can I film you next time you do that?" And now you're not even asking them to do nothing for you. You're just saying, "Can I do that?" And they're going to probably go, "Yeah." And then you just film it. Next time they're talking to somebody else, you film it. And then I like to interrupt and go, "Hey, is that thing really spring loaded?" Because if they're talking to this guy and they don't bring up the spring loaded part, but I want it in my video, I'll go, "Isn't that spring loaded?" Because I seen them say it like 4 other times intermittently, right? I just want to make sure it's in my video. There, now you're done. You got your video. And then at the end, you can go, "Hey, I'm going to put that on my YouTube channel. Here's my card," or whatever. You want me to do another one where you're in it? Some people, you can tell that they want that. They're like, "Oh, you only got me. You only got my hands in it." Sometimes they'll say that, and that's them saying, "I want to be it." So then you go, "You want me to do another one?" So that's my suggestion for like literally strategies for capturing compelling product demos is don't show their face because nobody cares. You're at SHOT Show, so you got all the noise. Everybody knows you're at SHOT Show. You probably titled it, "Here's something another at SHOT Show." And then you show this, you give the person who's interested in this device the experience of SHOT Show. Now they know what it's like to have people around. And most of the time, if it's an interesting product, there's a whole bunch of people at the booth. And then other times you can see that they're being neglected. And that tells you a lot about the product. It tells you a lot about the hype or the interest in the product, right? So like that's valuable. I find that to be the most capturing and compelling product demos, not the sterile, "Okay, I'm going to shut down your booth. We're going to do this on this background. We're going to do it until you do it right. And it's going to look like some kind of fucking commercial." And there's people that can do that. And there's like No Spec Monkey can pull that off, but he's been doing this longer than me. And good luck. He does that every single year with a crew of like 7. So good luck to you. And he's done it every single year. Like I am super inconsistent. I do whatever I feel like at SHOT Show each year, mostly with my phone, sometimes with $50 cameras. He's been doing it with like professional quality stuff since before I've been going.
Yep, 100%, man. You get to see that in the green room when dudes roll in with entire crews, and I'm like, I got my 4 guys and our cell phones, and I am not competing with them. I'm putting out my own thing. I'm doing my own style. I am not your competition, and I don't consider myself that. I'm trying to create stuff for you guys to check out, and repost, and hopefully, whoever the heck you are and wherever you are, whatever I did was unique enough, or me enough, or gave you a different perspective, or maybe it was just another camera angle. Or maybe this person was just not as smooth, but answered more questions. What's the name of that? JR15. Remember the JR15, the little 22 that everybody made a big deal about?
I like it a lot.
So those guys were wonderful. All right, I was there the first year before they blew up, before Gavin Newsom and the chucklehead Chuck Schumer got a hold of them and pretty much made their lives live in hell. So they remembered me from the very first time. So I was able to talk to them, and they had a new lady there, or a lady there who wasn't there the first time. And she was nervous about going on camera. And I was like, "Well, how's this? You know everything about the gun, right?" She was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Hold it in front of you. I won't go to put your face on, and you can run through your whole thing. There's no reason for everyone to see you. I just want to get everything out because myself and the owner did a different video the year before. And I wanted to ask some questions and get some answers on what it was like after, they were pretty much shoved onto the national stage for a product that wasn't even out yet. And the politicians were already making up lies about them. And we were able to get that out. And it was unique and it was different because others hadn't asked them that. Also, we ran into, just during a break of setting down, a Canadian journalist. I'll leave it at that. And we started having a discussion about what it was like in Canada. And he was well informed because he'd been in the business for decades. I'm dancing around stuff. He'd been in the business for decades, and my partner Rusty was like, "Hey, can we tape this and just show, put the camera on the table so people have something to see visually? But can we get this conversation?" He had no problem. So you don't have to show people's face. You do whatever you can to get the content, but have them be comfortable, because you don't want to leave a bad taste in people's mouth. The industry's small, and you don't want to be a jerk to people just because there's no reason to be. Everybody's there for the same reason. That's why they're at SHOT. But people do have different comfort levels. Meet them there.
I probably should have said this at the beginning of the show, but this is the hour mark, so maybe it's a good point. I heard this from a lady yesterday. I don't know if I can call her a lady. I think I'm older than her. Girl, I don't know. But anyway, she was a female yesterday, was coaching a bunch of people, and she brought up a great, I don't know what to call it, like a motto, I guess, or something. And anyway, it was, oh crap, I put it on my YouTube because I'm not going to remember it now. But it's okay, I think it was know yourself, like what you're doing, know your audience and what they want, and then know how you're giving it to them. And if you keep those three things, I'll go find the actual quote over here. But keeping in mind those three simple things. If you're not adding value, if you're just taking that person's story and wiping it on your channel, the people that are there, how are they going to value that? Like, no one who values that story is going to find your channel useful. They're going to see that you exploited that story. So you're actually going to alienate people that truly value that story. And the person who, told you that story, how much are they going to value it if you just, disregard it and move on to the next thing? So, giving people respect and their stories some reverence, I guess. I don't know the words I'm looking for, but I think that is kind of what you're saying there, that offering that can be different than what a lot of people are doing. A lot of people are just whipping through and they're not really paying attention. So I don't want to say fewer things that you pay more attention to, but just being honestly interested in things instead of just superficially, because the superficial stuff just gets on people's nerves. They're there at SHOT Show, and if they were like, man, I don't want to do this, but I got to go, and I've got to do these interviews because I'm trying to sell the book, or I care about people who care about what I care about, right? So they're doing these, and then they find that, like, you're like mocking them or disrespecting them or something. Like, they got less tendency to do it. They're just less interested. They're never going to want to talk to you again. Like, there's just a lot of stuff, and that's not, I'm going off in tangents, trying to think of too many things here. I found the quote though. Know who you are, know who you serve, and know how you serve them. And I thought that was a great way to think about it as a content creator, sort of your value, and to understand how to, or I guess more than just knowing your value, how to communicate your value to the person you're trying to do business with or you're trying to work with. If you know truly who you are and what your channel is all about, what your project is, why you're at SHOT Show, why you're asking them this, and then who you're serving, because they could care less. They have lots of people that like what they do, but what do you bring to the table? Who are you? Do you have an audience? Do you have, what is it that you're doing? And then how do you do that? And so you can let them know, here's who I am, here's who I'm bringing to the table, here's who I represent, and this is how I do that. I think that's a great succinct way of summarizing, I don't know if that's the right word, of what we've just been saying on this tangent. I'm going to just say last thing, it kind of goes with the same thing, is B-roll. Get a lot of B-roll. If you're taking video, get stills. If you're taking stills, get video. If you're taking notes for a podcast, get it on video. Like, you can listen to your own video. You don't have to post it on YouTube. You're allowed to listen to your own notes. Take video. Tony had excellent point there, saying to just run a video while you're doing stuff, because now you can wave your hand, like, oh, this was such a great point. Every time I waved my hand in front of the camera, that was a good point. Now you can have your own editing, like, you can go back and grab those key points out for shorts or whatever. But get B-roll, because when you go into a booth and you're thinking, okay, I need both content and I want some B-roll, you want B-roll for your event. You want B-roll for your trip. You want B-roll for your channel. So if you have the opportunity, think of that giant backpack. There's some giant backpack that somebody makes. It's always a SHOT Show. I think it's yellow, or maybe it's tan. and people are jumping into it, and it's huge. It's way bigger than a person, so it looks like you got a refrigerator strapped to your back. You know what I'm talking about? And people get that selfie with it, or they get that photograph with it. Think about if you're not paying attention to that kind of stuff, you're walking right past like the biggest ball of string or something that you're standing right next to it. Might as well get some use out of it. So when you're thinking of B-roll, it's just keeping you out of your tunnel vision to some extent, and it's making you think of things from like, how would the bird see this? How would the worm see this? How does the mouse see this? And how does the fox see this? All right. The next one is engaging ways to interview industry experts. Do you got time to keep going, Tony? I asked everybody out there. Nobody's answering. We got more and more people watching, but nobody's.
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay. So engaging ways to interview industry experts. Do you have any? You've probably done as much of that as you've done booth reviews, or probably more than booth reviews.
Yeah. Okay. It's hilarious because if you walk up to people, introduce yourself, tell them what you're doing, and go, when would it be convenient for you to do this? And we can do it right now if you want to, like have your ish together to do it immediately, but also be ready to pencil someone in and make it quick. Have your stuff together. Don't go, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I have to think of questions. Have that stuff ready and popping and just roll with it. Some people you may want to interview and some people you just want to meet. I was able to interview industry experts, I guess you call them, because they're at the booths and that's why they're there. Others, meet them, have a conversation, talk to them. Everything don't have to be at this SHOT Show. There's NRA show. There's other, Brownells has a thing. There's other industry things to go to. You can establish relationships here that can be exploited. And I'm not trying to tell you to manipulate people or use exploiting in a negative way, but you've established that you know someone, have met someone, and you had and created good vibes with that person and didn't press them really hard if they couldn't hook up with you at that time. But hey, maybe a future date. Here's my business card. I'll shoot you an email. It's just like kind of almost speed dating and making friends kind of thing that you're doing at SHOT. Everything doesn't happen to have there. It doesn't happen to be, we're there on Tuesday. You met them on Tuesday. You saw them. It was somebody you really want to talk to. Man, you have until Friday. Hit them up.
Oh, the first part of the week. Let me interrupt just to say the first part of the week is a great time to go. How long you here? How long are you in town? Or just what you're saying, so that you can plan on something later. Because they're busy, you're busy, but maybe you're both not busy on Wednesday.
Exactly.
Sorry to interrupt you there. I don't know if you were keep going.
No. It's respecting people's time and not acting as if they should drop everything for you. And you think it shouldn't be said, but you can get caught in your own head. Trust me. And you can like, I don't want my time wasted. Hey, bro, take it easy. Pump the brakes. Everybody's here for the same thing. My interview with Tim Kennedy, that just happened because I was there and I got 38 seconds of Tim Kennedy contradicting himself. It's up to you whether you believe him or not, because I asked him a question. I was either gonna sit there and have it bother me or talk to the guy, so I did. I think that was one of the ones that surprised a lot of people and created some heat from my last year's SHOT Show. Take opportunities when you can find it, create other opportunities, get business cards, give business cards, and take notes of who they are. And I'm sorry, but I've taken photos of people just so I can remember them and tag their name in it. Because you're meeting a lot of people and you're kind of gonna at least I do, forget what they look like. So take a photo with them and then take a picture of their business card and link the two suckers together. However you have to. Use every trick in the book to make your time worthwhile and to meet people and actually be genuine. I think that was one of the coolest things you said, is actually have an active interest in what you're talking about and not just trying to collect them like they're, Hot Wheels racing cards or Pokemon or something. I got to get this one, get this one, get this one. No, bro.
Yeah, and I
If
can
you
tell
don't,
you from experience, I've done that. Like, here, look what I got at SHOT Show, 340. You think that's 340 relationships? Nah, that's 340,
Mhm,
like, getting a bunch of videos. I mean, some of them, don't get me wrong, some of them appreciate the hell of it. When you can do their whole product line and put it on YouTube within a
mhm.
week or two, there's a bunch of people that really appreciate that, especially back in the day. But anyway, I'm interrupting you.
Yep. Talk to people and then see what happens.
So She Fires says maybe ask them the same open-ended question to a few different companies and compile it into a video. I think that's super creative and interesting. That same coach from yesterday brought up something that I hadn't thought about from comparisons, because I do a lot of comparisons um, over the years and currently. So there's some companies that don't like comparisons. There's some companies that like to be I don't know what the word is, but like to be the only topic brought up. If you're talking revolvers, you can talk about us, but don't bring us up with the other brand, or don't, we're not interested in being compared because we set ourselves apart and you're testing capacity, let's say, and we think we're a smoother, you know, trigger pull or something like, and you're comparing the apples to pears over here, and we don't like that. And so sometimes you don't even realize it. So I just, as long as you're aware of that angle of it, and I don't want to crap on it because I like that idea too. Because I think often the the viewer side of it, the audience, the people that are interested in this, as far as our role as media at a SHOT Show, is to illuminate the show, right? They're not like, hey, bring media in so that you can all do business. They'd bring us in with paying tickets if they wanted us to do business in there, right? Like, we would be business entities if we were supposed to be doing business only. We're supposed to be, bringing the show to the world or whatever. The magazines and stuff, the TV shows, would bring the show and pick it up and put it out in the world. We're supposed to be normalizing guns to some extent. So I think some of them, if they're apprehensive to that, you could be the ambassador or the introduction to, like, maybe the awareness that, hey, you can compare yourself to other companies, like, especially in 2024. An AR company in 2024 is so different than an AR company in 2006 or 2016. Or I guess I should have said 2004. 2004 was a little early. By 2006, 2008, there were, like, the guns that people were using overseas, or there were the accessories that operators were using overseas and had threshed out, and, like, they know what worked and what didn't, what was for show and what could live through jumping off a helicopter and smashing through something and then working and then doing that over and over. And pretty much people were like, okay, I want that, that's the stuff I want. And then there was this war between the stuff that works and the stuff that looks cool. And those ARs are different than today. That population of people buying were either aware of what was going on in real life and only wanted the stuff that worked, or they just wanted whatever that looked cool to them or felt comfortable to them. Nowadays, we have a whole different level of production level. We have whole different people in the game. People are gone from the game, right? Like, stuff like trends of handguard shapes and sizes and attachment methods. I make fun of red dots because it's easy, but I could just easily make fun of handguards or something, right? Or pistol grips or stocks. Like, every part of an AR really has controversial and competitive accessories and stuff. But anyway, back in the day where that would have been very competitive, somebody with, like, I sell this furniture and you're talking about that furniture, or I sell this rail and you're talking about that rail, I don't want to do business with you anymore. That's the kind of shit we had to worry about back in the day. You're selling Coke and I like Pepsi. Like, no, this doesn't work. Like, we're not working with people who are across that line. Nowadays, there's not that line in the consumer. Like, consumers aren't like, I have to be uber practical or I have to be uber comfortable, right? Like, now customers are like, oh, I want a little bit of both and I expect a little bit of both. And companies are like, well, here's a little bit of both. So now a whole bunch of companies are doing a little bit of both. There's room for a ton of companies to sit there, because when you're, like, doing a little bit of both, okay, well, where's the margin? Like, is my little bit of comfortable the grip angle, or is my little bit of comfortable the recoil, the felt recoil? Is my little bit of practical the caliber choice, or is it the length of barrel? So now you start getting into real nuances. And who buys one AR? I mean, that's the other thing. Back in the day, ARs were thousands of bucks, and to get a nice one was really expensive and kind of tough because the parts were in demand. Nowadays, you can buy less expensive ones times, I don't know, it doesn't even matter. Some people have dozens, honestly, but easily, 5 or 6. And when you get to 5 or 6 guns, there's nobody's fighting over accessories like they were back in the day. So anyway, I just am trying to say that things evolve, and what I'm being, I guess, apprehensive about, like offending the companies by doing a comparison, is kind of old thinking already. And I'm willing to accept that, like, I think the industry is changing a bit. Certainly customers are changing to where they don't demand the same things that people demanded back in the day. And then I'm trying to pick extremes, but somewhere in 16, it was somewhere in the mix, and there was a lot of deceptive, and that's where I get a lot of my bad taste in my mouth, is when it was kind of changing. And when it changes, you get a lot of people who can jump up and go, "Hey, you like chocolate and peanut butter? I got this treat," but it's not a Reese's peanut butter cup. It's like something gross.
Well, one of the things I like people in our audience here, because we have smart people, and She Fires is one of them, and she says, ask them the same open-ended question. And I think something I picked up at Kevin Dixie's training line was, ask them who their audience is. Ask them who do they think is buying their product, or who do they market to, because we can make an assumption because everything's in camouflage pants. You know what I mean? With all their pictures in the booth, but really, is that who, they're going for? Or maybe they're going for the entry level person, and that's why they have all this. Or maybe they're going for someone that is looking to buy their 4th AR, and they know what they're looking for. Like, that is, ask them questions and let them tell you about their product. Not the same old, but let them walk the dog a little bit for you. You don't have to do all the heavy lifting if someone has experience, and if you approach it like an actual conversation and not just trying to say, "Hi, I'm at so-and-so's booth. Tell us about your new product." All right, here it is. Have a good day. Well, you're going to get the same cookie cutter stuff everybody else says. Try to have a conversation, and like She Fires says, ask an open-ended question and let them run with it.
For sure, you'll get surprised. You might think, "Oh, it's made in Nebraska or something," or, "Oh, this is engineered in Italy or something," and then you find out, "Oh, no, we make this thing in New Jersey," or something like that. The next question came up again about during the show type of questions, would be tips for live streaming or going viral. These were kind of different, but stuck them together because live streaming is easy. It's pretty much, it's difficult, if not impossible, to even achieve technologically, but it's also frowned upon by the show. I don't even think they allow it. There's people, there's still, when you think of SHOT Show, there's the people that are there for their business, there's people that are there for their units and their departments. And if you're a procurement person, it's probably not a big deal, but sometimes, I don't want to say often, depends on what room you're in. But if you're looking at an entry tool, or maybe a robot that goes in and does something for hostage rescue, potentially a SWAT, somebody who's a SWAT officer who isn't, for whatever reason, maybe undercover officer, I guess that's a more recognizable thing, like somebody that's there who doesn't necessarily want to be identified with whatever, and it says right on their badge what it is, right? Like, so obviously if somebody's like a CIA agent, they're not going to show up there with their name on. But there are people that are just there casually because they're at an industry show, and they're procurement, or they're, I guess I was going to say, the actual officers that are there to talk with manufacturers or developers, or maybe they're brought in as an expert. So they're walking around, the show on their off time or something. And that's where they don't want you casually watching or taking videos of the audience. So that's the technical reason why somebody might not, for security reasons, not want to be there. But then think of all the people that were like, "Oh, I'm taking off work because I got to take off work next week." And now you got a video of them walking through SHOT Show giggling. That's not always awesome. You know what I mean? And what if it's some other reason? You took the week off from school or something, and your professor sees you're walking around SHOT Show. So just to be professionally discreet or whatever, to leave people be. Or again, like somebody, it's just like maybe a professional YouTuber, and they're walking around talking to the professional YouTuber who they hate professionally, but they're best friends in real life. They don't want that on the YouTube. Sure, it's a thing, but you don't even realize it happened, and now it's over there. Or the other way around. Two people are having a fight, and they normally like each other. Some of that stuff people just don't want on there. Or maybe, again, it's just somebody who just doesn't like their hair the way it was, or they were shoving a sandwich in their mouth or something, and they just don't want to be the B-roll on somebody's thing because it was happening over the shoulder of somebody while you were, or worse, when you're just walking down the aisle, I guess. Usually when you're filming over the shoulder, you're kind of aware of what's going on in your viewfinder. But people that'll just like run a 360 camera or just kind of walk down the aisle with a camera going, that's where the live streaming is, I think, to discourage that. But at the same time, it's really difficult. There's just a zillion people in there. Like, I can't even imagine how many wireless devices are going off and how many Bluetooths. So, and there's really nothing you can do with so much noise. It's just not really possible to live stream. So there's a couple of reasons why you can't live stream. After the show and aside, go outside or do it somewhere else. Yeah, go nuts. I bet you if you went out on the street or something, you could probably live stream from out front. Would it be worthwhile? Would anybody care about watching that? I really don't think so, but I have been wrong lots of times. So if somebody wants to try it, let us know. As far as going viral, yeah, here's the recipe for going viral. I was letting Tony give you the recipe for that one.
Oh, yeah, I'll go ahead and give you the recipe for going viral. Not doing gun stuff. They're going to kill you on any platform you put it on. You'd probably go more viral just filming whatever happens on the street across from the SHOT Show, more so than you will on the floor of SHOT Show. So don't plan on going viral. I mean, I didn't plan on running at Tim Kennedy, and that's as close as I came to going viral. And that was 30 seconds or 35 seconds with him at a party. It wasn't a setup interview. We didn't go into a quiet corner. Stuck the phone in his face with his permission, obviously. Told him what I was going to ask him about and let it be up to him how he wanted to handle that. Didn't get confrontational with him because there was no win for me there. But, asked him to explain. And if people don't know, it was his clip that he had asked him to explain between him and Lance Armstrong on the podcast where he said he didn't think 18, 19-year-olds should be able to own firearms. She fires. I don't plan on live streaming, but I may do, what do you call it? IG lives or something like that. Because sometimes I do that, especially if we have time. And I definitely like doing that from the Airbnb. If we do anything.
You mean like streaming in the evening, she fires? Like in the evening, like from the room or from your place where you're staying?
Yeah, for me, that would be better. Because trying to do it on the floor, it's loud, it's busy. You see people, you may lose. Like when I was in the booth and I did an interview with Double Star, I knew I was going to be in the booth for a minute. I had their backstop. They did their podcast with me on it. So we had time and I had a corner. And what was that, 2021 or 2022 when a lot of people didn't show up and we had the couches and the places to sit down? That was dope. And you could do a little bit of live stream because you had a area to be at that wasn't all hustle, but that was gone last year in 2023. I wish they'd bring that back. A little oasis of couches and place to sit. And yeah, you could do stuff on the shot floor, but I might do stuff away from the shot floor. I like doing a little walkthrough of the house and do like a cribs thing. Also, we have all of my guys from the podcast in one room, and that's good. I didn't do so much at SHOT Show.
You just hired a loft, you're saying? Like one big room? You didn't even have a bathroom? There's just a toilet on one side? It's kind of like a prison cell, like a one big loft.
It was hilarious. Cribs, Cribs. But we had a nice place. I think it was 3 or 4 bedrooms, a backyard where we could go out and smoke cigars and stuff. And we were just able to chill and talk to each other and throw something up. Because, we don't see each other. We're across the country, much like you and I on this. We have a guy in Oregon, another one in Tennessee, one in Florida, and me in Jersey. So having us all together in the same room was kind of cool. And that was, I think, something the audience of the Gun and Gear Review podcast would appreciate.
So there's a lot of things there. First off, Well, and I'm going to get lost because there's just so many things you brought up there. But yeah, doing something away from SHOT Show, I think, has a lot of value. I'm a big fan of live, and you go to we always talk about drinking from the fire hose. So you go to SHOT Show Media Day. Actually, if you go there early, all that stuff happens. You think you're going to remember all that pre-SHOT Show stuff? After a week of SHOT Show. So you go live each night after SHOT Show on the regular, and you're essentially documenting your event. It's feedbacking weird for some reason. I don't know, something happened on your side?
Oh, probably anytime I move this cord.
Okay.
I think there's something wrong with the actual inlet. The hole where you stick your cordy in. If I move it, shift it, or flick with it, it's messed up.
Okay, I think it went away. So, I've lost where I was at. We were talking about going live from SHOT or whatever. Oh, I guess I'm just saying I think it's great because you go live. You don't have to do it for 2 hours, 3 hours. Sometimes that happens, and I don't have a problem with that either. If you've got an audience that's enjoying it, you're bringing SHOT Show to everybody. But here's the thing: you're thinking about what happened that day. So here's what I seen at the range. Here's what happened the day before. If you go to the golf thing, or if you go to the ANME show, or if you went wherever you went, maybe you just went out hanging out with everybody as they arrived on Sunday. You do a live show Sunday. You let people know what's up, and that's documented. Now you don't have to remembering it because it's in your live show, and that'll trigger whatever memories you need. At least for those people. Maybe people have robotic memories better than me. But then Monday you do the same thing. Here's what happened at Media Day. It was great. Here's Tuesday's show. Guess what we saw? We never thought we'd run into this guy. This and that. And here's this, and we got to make sure we do this by Thursday. And now you got like whoever was watching your show to help you remember to do that by Thursday, and so forth. So I think it's worth doing because it's like taking notes and involving your audience. Now, if your audience could care less, you're just doing it for yourself. What does it cost you to go live and make a bunch of notes? I mean, unless you got I can't imagine how that could possibly be a negative. And then if you do have an audience that appreciates it, bonus, win. Like you're one of the few people that are doing that. I don't do it because I don't know if enough people are interested, but trust me, I'd be going live. One of the things that I'm trying to talk to the person, I'm still not sure how we're doing this year, but in past years, I've attempted to have a person live while we're at the show so that people could just phone in and go, oh, you never believe what happened. Or like, I know there's a live show. Can I take you over in the corner here? And we're going to go, join the live show for 5 minutes. And you could be part of the only 24-hour live show that's happening at SHOT Show this year. That kind of thing. Like, create opportunities to give people opportunities. But anyway, so live stuff, I'm all for it. However you plan on doing it, just let people know about it. And, I guess I'll shut up because I could go off on a tangent on that forever. And I forgot about the other things that you brought up there, but hopefully people are finding value in this. People that are creating, I don't think people that are going to the show are getting much focus here as far as like the people going to booths. But if there are people that are going to set up at a booth and you've got specific questions or concerns or some way that a whole bunch of content creators could help you out, use this, what was this called? This show or the comments or whatever. If you're listening to this in the future, to get in touch with us, we still got time. But then again, I think the going live at SHOT Show gives you an opportunity that people have not yet tapped into, and it frustrates me to no end. So there's two things that we've got at SHOT Show. Everybody's, like Tony said, everybody's in one room. You've got the ability for everybody to get there and meet. Now, if me and Tony got in the same room together, it would be a waste if we just sat there together talking to each other, because we talk to each other off air for like hours sometimes. So it'd just be like being on the phone with each other. But if I was going to a place where Tony had a bunch of friends at, and I could be meeting up with a bunch of new people, I could totally see the value there, right? Or vice versa. So the people that meet up and chat with each other, who chat with each other all the time, I see a little less value there. Obviously, the camaraderie and the bonding, right on, go for it. Like, you don't get to actually be in the same room, and there's a lot of that. But if you're going to multiple shows and stuff, anyway, I think there's some value in the networking part of it, not just the camaraderie part of it. Maybe that's the way to say it. That being said, you can burn yourself out, right? Trying to get to places. And nowadays, pay for parking stuff isn't free like it used to be as parking, from what I understand. So we're going to be seeing a whole different level of cost and interest in Ubering or whatever, the taxi rides over driving yourself. So that's going to add a lot to costs because it costs money to Uber. But there's cost, and there's only so much you can do in a night. But we've got this live internet stuff, and so many of us are comfortable with it. How would SHOT be different if a whole bunch of people knew going into SHOT that they were going to go to do SHOT Show and then go eat, right, with some friends or something, and then go back to their hotel and go live for an hour or two? And while they were live, when you're in a live show, unless I'm hogging the mic and I'm chatting the whole time, most of us are passing the mic around. So when you're live, you're sitting in front of your computer probably, or with your phones, and you're talking about 10% of the time, 20% of the time if you're a mic hog, like some of us. But you know what I mean? Like, you're mostly just sitting there. So you could be doing all kinds of editing and getting ready for tomorrow and doing little tedious stuff. So it's not like we're all doing that in our hotels anyway. So we could be live while we're doing that. The audiences could all be joining in. Like, you got audiences from here and there and this organization and that. You get somebody small should be doing this. Somebody small should be hosting this, because then they would be getting tagged by all these other people who are like, oh, I'm jumping into so-and-so's chat this evening, and we're going to talk about our area of interest, and we're going to talk about what we missed. And does anybody know who we can talk to tomorrow about this? Like, how much better would SHOT Show be if instead of all dividing and going to little popularity contests, like, oh, I know so-and-so, I'm getting invited to such and such. So you can sit around and drink some beers, and I don't know, there's networking going on. I'm not going to just, there's that happening, but that could just, so much of that could still be happening on a live chat, is I guess what I'm getting at. Because when you go to these events, either people are talking about sports and the weather, which is bonding, or they're talking about stuff that should be in front of a camera, right? Like maybe some interesting story about something. And anyway, so I think a lot of it would be different if we had SHOT, some kind of a live aspect to SHOT. SHOT has, the show itself, NSSF has started doing these networking parties because they see the value of the after hours stuff. But just like anything, I think there's an electronic version that can allow us to simplify and reduce costs and amplify the amount of work that got done. Like, I don't know, I don't want to put it on KD, but like if KD had a Train and Learn live thing, like somebody from Train and Learn flipped on a thing and went live and hosted a room. And if you jump in, you jump in. If you don't, you don't. But everybody from Train and Learn group could like know that that's a, live session. Because I know y'all get around and smoke cigars here or there. I don't know how much of that is impromptu. But, like those kind of sessions. Now, some of that, has to be off air, has to be, on a balcony somewhere. Otherwise, work doesn't get done and you can't like move on. But you know what I'm saying? Like having that hour or so every night where everybody knows, like, hey, I can jump in there, I can tag whoever I want. I'm working with such and such company, I want to get their name out there. I met somebody new or something. All the stuff I mentioned before. Just I think there'd be another layer of SHOT if people were going live, and now people would have something to look forward to. Also, it wouldn't be like, again, like, hey, guess where I went? Guess what I did? Look what I saw. Instead, it's like, hey, look what we're doing today. I don't know. I'm chatting up something that doesn't exist. But I'm ranting on the idea of live streaming still, which again, we talk about at the show. It's not possible off air. That's everything we just said. So the last one in this section is how to network effectively and build industry relationships. I think we've touched on it a bit, but if I threw that one at you, how would you give advice on networking and building relationships?
Okay. I think people expect there to be some crazy strategy, and it's just meeting people. Now, I mean, I'm not. My wife had this discussion the other night about her being an introvert and how I'm not. And I think that probably helps me with that part of my personality, getting out, meeting people, and talking to them. That's all it is. I mean, it's meeting people and talking to people with the agenda of meeting them and talking to them later. You don't have to strike the $1 million deal the first time you meet someone. Matter of fact, more than likely you won't, unless they were looking for whatever you were presenting, or you have the greatest presentation the world has ever known. I mean, sometimes there's kismet and you find each other and you just hit it off. But really, it's you get to know him, you get to play 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon of people you do know. And that helps get people comfortable, or at least know you know some of the same people. Don't put yourself under immense pressure that you're going to close out everything you go on. But you definitely putting hooks in the water. You're talking to people, you're getting their business cards, and you're trying to be memorable. Uh, I mean, I have my patches, and I have, I mean, it's crazy when you have a dude my size with a picture of himself in a bubble bath on the t-shirt. That makes people kind of remember you. But yeah, just step forward and just you're introducing yourself to people that you want to have a friendly working relationship. You're not going to be best friends. You're not going to do karate in the garage, but you can have friendly relationships with. And when you're at a show, especially for the manufacturer, you're seeing people asking you for stuff all day or asking you the same questions. So to see someone that's a friendly face that offers you a bottle of water, a stick of gum, I mean, just something. Be a human being. And exactly. Don't try to be a car salesman right away. Everybody knows you have something to say, but start off having a conversation. Hey, how's the show going for you so far? Good
Dude,
morning.
say that. I almost always say that. Like, how's the show going? Because I'm kind of honestly interested. That's sort of what I'm doing is, trying to get the pulse. And sometimes they'll riff on that for a bit. And then we'll talk about whatever it is that's going on. But, sometimes they blow it off. But I think that's a great question to start with.
Yeah. And be interested. Dude, if you're not interested, if you're not, don't be disingenuous. Just don't do that to yourself. Don't insult their intelligence. Don't waste your time, and don't get yourself a reputation of being a douche canoe.
Let me be
Just
contrary to some extent and go, you don't need to be hesitant to go learn about something you don't know about, though. You don't have to be
mm,
an expert, in other words, because you can go
no.
up to the booth. I've gone up to them before and say, like, I think it was Colt or Browning came out with I think it was Colt came out with one of their old pistols again. And I was like, something to the effect of, hey, I know nothing about this. I just think it's cool. Can you tell my people, or I think whatever I said, like my viewers, what the deal is behind this? Like, what's the origin story? Or, I said something to just let them know, like, I don't know nothing about this, but I think it's neat as I'm walking by. Can you tell me more about it? And then boom, he knows that I'm not, he knows exactly where I'm coming from. And then he knows how to, or what to tell me, I suppose, what kind of conversation to start.
And I did the exact opposite and friggin' showed up and acted like I was an expert and buried my foot in my mouth up to my kneecap. Which was hilarious because I, being me and realizing that I screwed up and just owned it. And we laughed about it. I was over at IWI and they had their new caramel car, the new rifle that IMI had come out last year. IWI, excuse me. And I'm like, okay. Well, I thought it was just their regular Galil. So when my partner Rusty was like, hey, what's this? I just glanced down at it, and maybe it was because it was beside the Galil. Now, I know the stats of the Galil, so I was running it past, and I'm standing in front of Rebecca from IWI, who knows me from various shows, and I'm giving her the rundown, and she's cocking her head to the side like the RCA puppy, right? And she's scrunching her eyes up, and I'm like, what? And then I look down, and I'm like, well, hey, Rebecca, why don't you tell us about this gun? Because I have no idea what this is. And I told her what I thought it was. I was like, I didn't look. Or maybe you're looking at one thing and you just you crossed your beams. And she started laughing at me. And then we went ahead with it. And I learned that it was a new rifle that was coming out. And I was interested in it. So listen, if you step in the poo, admit it, roll with it. But I was totally by accident. I 100%, man, I had that all confidence. I was saying it with my chest, baby. I was given a rundown like, I was the kid that knew all the answers to the homework. And then I found out I didn't and ate it. And that's fine. But yeah, go to places. And if you don't know the product, say you don't know the product and give them a chance to talk about it. That's why they're there. And you might not know everything. And they might have something else coming out that you didn't know about that you missed. Either they didn't reveal until SHOT Show and you missed the email, or they plan on revealing the next day. You can have all that, and you can miss an opportunity. So, I mean, take your time. Like, I didn't know stuff. Rob Pincus just sent me some stuff about them releasing their PD-10 and 30 Super Carry. That's awesome. Or he's working with Nemo Arms this year. I mean, that was one of the things he sent me because we've established a relationship over the years. And my whole thing is, why wouldn't I want to help a company, any company, especially one that has shown they can support us and has supported us in the work we do? So you never know with your relationships. What was that?
Well, I'm interrupting you because one, I'm getting creeped on by this little dude. So that means his clock is telling us, that it's about time for the show to end. But I also can't keep it with a 3-hour show. But so we'll wrap it up at the top of the hour, or at the 2 hour mark. I don't know if that's the top of the hour or whatever, about 15 minutes or whatever. But I figured I'd interrupt because the next topic is hottest takes and takeaways. And that's pretty much what you had just sort of ended with there, like similar to what you were ending with there. So as far as hottest takes and takeaways, I would just, it's fairly obvious. I'll just be open-minded. You're going to find, and I guess be open-ended, not so much open-minded. You're going, do whatever you want to do with your mind. But when you're making your plans or whatever, leave some room for slop, because you're going to find some things more than likely, again, keeping your head on a swivel and just being aware at the show, you're going to find some things that you didn't know about. So don't be so structured or so scripted or whatever, or so organized that you can't add some room for slop. There's probably going to be some things that are lemons too, or maybe you couldn't get to. So keep that kind of stuff in mind as far as like doing your takeaways, right? Or at the end of the show, realize that you're going to be doing some end of the show stuff.
Also, don't beat yourself up for missing stuff. There is no way humanly possible that you by yourself can get it all done. And I don't even think there's a way for you and a team of 12 to get everything done that you want to get done.
I can think of a way, and let me know what you think of this ethically, like strategically or whatever the word it would be, tactically, I don't know. But anyway, if you shared content with people, so, let's say that you've got your group, but now you know that She Fires is going and she's got her group, and then Milsurp Duo is going. I don't know if he's got a group or not this year, but like, other groups are out there, people that are, or individuals, whatever. There's other entities out there doing their thing, but they're going to do shotguns, and somebody else is going to do ammo, and somebody else is going to do hunting boots. And then at the end, you agree that you're going to either do some like edited things that you swap around, or you're going to give each other some access to some raw files so that people can re-edit some stuff up. But again, thinking about how to utilize the show creatively, and in 2024, depending on what you got for an audience and what you got for resources of your own, again, I don't know if everybody's opinion on that, but that is one way that technically the show could be, because technically the show gets 100% coverage, right, if you combined everybody's together. But most of the time we're going there and only dealing with our own footage, unless we meet up with each other and we kind of both bump in, somebody's on somebody's, or, we're both on a live stream or something like that. But rarely do people say, oh yeah, I'm going to do this zone, I'm going to do that sector, I'm going to do that area, I'll do that level, I'll do that floor, I'll do that building, and then you do the other, and then we'll swap or make our files available so that we can re-edit up some stuff for our own footage. Again, I don't know what people think of that as far as audience, if you feel like that's a ripoff, or if you feel that's a genius way of making it happen, or if it's unethical, or if it's street smart, or I don't know. I don't see people doing it, so I don't know if that's a...
Well, my whole thing is, I don't know what ethics has to do with it. I mean, you're sharing stuff. You can share with anybody you want.
People have weird ideas. I mean, there's people that think we're
Yeah,
supposed to do all this from the goodness of our heart, and we should be maybe paying people to watch our videos or some shit.
yeah, I know. I was one that they did think you're supposed to do it from the kindness of your heart. And then I started doing it. Um, there's nothing wrong with working with others, but understand they're not you. The shots that you want to get, or the way you film, or the way you video, is not going to be the way they do it. Um, More than likely, and you're going to have to accept that you're not having a clone of you. You're
But
having
that's the thing.
someone help it.
If you could structure it like, hey, we're all going to be sharing, so let's all do it from waist level and do a zoom in, look at the product for 30 seconds, and zoom out, and we can all do with that what we want. Or you know what I mean? Like you could come up
Yeah,
with.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'll shut up.
That's true. Well, no, because you're right. I'm going by what I did at the last train and learn, right? I'm there. I'd done my interviews with other people, and I got asked to hold the camera while they did the interviews with the same people, but their own take on it. And one of the things I noticed was when they were doing my interview, they were kind of wide and they never shifted, but he wanted me closer. So when I filmed his interview, when one was talking, I would show the person speaking. And then when the other person spoke, I would show them and center them up in the shot. Don't know whether he dug that or not. I did that because he had us so close. And also, we had to be closer because he was only using the phone and we were at a live range. You know what I mean? So I wanted him to get good audio, and I felt that's what it took. It would suck if he couldn't use any of that. You know what I mean? Like that footage that I got of them. But I tried to do the very best for somebody because that's what I want them to do for me.
Well, let's use that as
Um,
an example or a learning point where if you're going to be going with other people, you're allowed to say like, hey, can you step back and get me from the waist up? Can you get it so that those targets are in the background? Or better yet, if you're driving up with somebody or you're going to be there the whole time with somebody, you're allowed to plan all that stuff. That's part of the pre-plan prep stuff or whatever, so that when you hand them that phone or that camera, they know what you expect. But I'll shut up again.
no, 100% right. And I don't feel I failed this person because they never said anything, but they might have not said anything because they didn't go, man, I ain't never talking to that son of a gun again. He wasted my damn time. So get that
Like,
out of the
in the
way.
same respect, you're allowed to say, oh yeah, I'll film that for you. What do you want? Like, how do you want this? Because I'm the same way.
Exactly.
If you give me a camera and say film this, you won't see your face in it. I don't want to see anybody's face. If I want to see your face, I'll look at you. I want to see the product. I want to see it full frame. Like if whatever, I don't mind looking at their hands or whatever, but I want to see whatever it is they're pointing at or talking about, not a little speck down here, especially at SHOT Show. But
Yeah.
that's just my taste or my flavor or whatever. And yeah, some people would be like, dang it, dude, you didn't even get me in the video, or you didn't get the person talking in the video. But
Let
anyway,
me tell you something real quick. At these shows, at these bigger shows, at SHOT Show, NRA, Great American Outdoor Show, the lighting is awesome there for you to get video of the freaking product. No one really needs to see you, dude. You can do a you video later. Get the product. Unless truthfully, dudes, nobody wants to see you. Females, yes, probably want to be seen. She fires, I'd rather look at she fires all dang day than watch myself. I was going to throw somebody under a bus, and then I figured that'd be rude, just saying anybody else's name but mine. But nobody wants to see this. But she fires, she's quick, she's quick with it, she's attractive, and she asks good questions, so why not? But for most dudes, just show me the product. Show me the freaking product. Show me the product. Give me the voiceover. Show me the product. We can do hey, I'm over here at SHOT Show riding the elevator. I'm about to go into the so-and-so booth. Hey, this is me and John from so-and-so. Now zoom in on the product.
I was just going to say, like, yeah, exactly. If you're doing some bigger footage of B-roll, whatever, but also, hey, can you give me the origin story of the company? Like, what was the idea for this? Then maybe, you don't need to be looking at the primer or whatever, the engravings on the side. Although that is great B-roll, just kind of pan past some engravings and stuff. Let's move on, though, because we're already the 2-hour cutoff here and we've got a whole bunch left. I'm just going to zip through some of these and suggest that if someone wants to have us riff on any of these or have a conversation about some of these, one, you can contact us. We always say that. That's where a lot of these questions come from. Although we also have the website out there, Ask Gun Questions, and thanks to Woods and others who provide questions over there, so that gives us like the meat for this show. But then you're also allowed to make your own videos. You can have a concern, an issue, a question, just a general. I'd rather have more understanding on this, and post that question or the ponder or whatever it's called on a video, or I Instagram post, wherever it is that you feel you're going to get the most response, or both, and then let people chime in. And there's then that might be a topic on somebody's live conversation, or it might get someone to do a reply to that with their thing, and who knows, maybe that becomes something that again changes the way we do shot. I always use the example when I first started going as media in 2005. Most of the other media had lenses and film. Like I had a digital camera because it was really cheap. I just found it the other day. I think I found it the other day. My old Kodak digital camera, and it was like, I think, 1/8 of a megapixel or something crazy. It was a really crude camera, and people were upset because it was still the concept of, oh, you're going to have a digital camera on the internet, like a picture on the internet when. So anyway, it was a much different internet. I always use the story here. I'll go through it quickly, but then eventually digital cameras weren't such a big deal. And then Mil-Spec Monkey and Military Moron and the other one, SMG Lee, were always, no, wait, SMG Lee was pictures too. There was another one who did video, but Military Moron and Mil-Spec Monkey started doing video at SHOT Show. And then Guns Blast did it. And I was like, well, if Gun Blast is doing it, I'm doing it. So we started doing video in 2009, and then by 2014, it was commonplace to be doing videos for YouTube on at SHOT Show, and then everyone jumped in on it, and they ruined it, and then it became cell phones, and then it was live streaming, and to some extent, you can see that there was some individual hesitance or resistance to that stuff, and some people don't like it. But the most part, there's booths that leave like a whole section of their booth where there's not even any product. It's just their background because they know they're going to be somebody's going to be standing there all day having conversations for YouTubers or for a podcast or whatever. And that's expensive property to just have sitting there. So I always use that example that no one told SHOT Show this is what's going to happen. In 2009, people are going to start using video. In 2007, they'll start using digital cameras. In 2014, they'll start having YouTubers show up with their cameras and demand a whole different thing from the audience. And then in 2020, whatever, no one's even going to care if you're walking around with a cell phone streaming live, because it's just so commonplace for constantly people to have cameras around. No one told NSSF or any of the companies this is what's going to happen. It just happened. And it didn't happen because a camera company told us it was going to happen. And it didn't happen because, NSSF or some entity said this should happen. And it wasn't because of people like me saying, hey, let's do this. It just happened because a bunch of people did stuff, and a bunch of people reacted to it, and a bunch of people watched those reactions and either did it again or didn't do it ever again, right? And essentially that evolution is your part of that. And whatever you do at SHOT Show this year is either going to be a hit or it's going to be a miss, and someone will either do it again better or worse next year, or you'll refine it next year. But you can do what other people did again, or you can try to do what people have done in the past, like revive that. That's a neat thing to do. Or you can just do whatever you want new. And I think you're allowed to do that. And I hope people are going to, if nothing else, from 2 hours into this, take some of that from us, or my conversation. So how does takeaways from the show? Hopefully that helped. In-depth product reviews and comparisons. There's people that'll dismiss that, and there's people that understand that this is the most, the most concentrated ability to do that. Except for ratio. I mean, it kind of depends on what you're talking about, but essentially this is, if not the most, one of the most concentrated places for doing reviews. And you've got oftentimes access to the manufacturer, the designer, sometimes the inventor, the person who distributes it. Imagine if you could talk to it'd be neat. I wish I had time to do a whole live show on this, but think about how many people you could go talk to: the inventor, the person who runs the company now, the person who distributes it, and gun shops who sell the thing. You could do that probably with all the Henrys. Those people exist. Somebody designing those. You could do it with High Point guy died, but you could do it with whoever's existing. But Kellgren,
Who died?
The guy from High Point died 3 years ago. the inventor of the High Point.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, quite a few years ago. I think I'm trying to remember. I know I have it in my calendar, so it had to be at least a
Oh,
couple
okay.
years ago. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
like Kalashnikov, a bigger name. He died during SHOT Show, like not during SHOT Show, but you know what I mean. Like while SHOT Show was
Hmm.
happening, he died, and there was quite a big memorial. Something will happen with Gadsden or whatever. But before
Yeah, of
these people
course.
passed, I know people who go to SHOT Show that met Kalashnikov. Like I had the opportunity to go, I just didn't. But there was people that would go over and meet Kalashnikov back in the day. It's kind of a
Met
thing.
Ronnie Barrett.
Oh,
I
I've met
mean, had like a 15, 20-minute conversation with Ronnie Barrett. Have
That's a cool.
Doug Turn. Yeah, dude, it was awesome. Doug Turnbull, met him. I don't know if you know Turnbull, right? The big 1911s. There's a whole fire.
They like.
Um,
I don't know if I agree with it, but they take like and restore old classic guns. I was just
and
looking
also,
at it today 'cause they were talking about it, and I went and looked, and I
and
kind of
the owner of
I
Cylinder.
like the old stuff.
Well, I
But
was talking to Doug, and the owner of Cylinder and Slide was there too. And I'm sitting there. All right, gun geek moment. But I'm sitting there talking to the two dudes who I've, as a kid, went through magazines and drooled over their products, and now here I am having a conversation about 2A4E with these guys, and I just thought it was just so effing cool. No, it didn't get recorded. No, I don't have a photo of it. None of that stuff. But everything doesn't have. You're allowed to have personal, awesome moments that you don't have video of. Again, it's an opportunity. You're gonna miss some opportunities. You're gonna have some missteps. You're not gonna get some party or some get together. You're gonna miss them because there's 5 to 10 parties a night easy from different manufacturers, and then there's the big ones, and then you also have activist organizations having parties on different nights. It's just going to be what it is. Don't beat yourself up. Have fun. Have a plan, but don't so stress out over it that you can't live in the moment too. I think that should be a thing. Get work done.
You either burn out because you're trying to live too much. You're trying to do everything, and then you stress out. You exhaust yourself, or you dehydrate, or just you don't have a good time physically. Or maybe it's possible for you to do all that. If you're young, I don't want to take that away from you. Go nuts.
Yeah, that's true too.
So go nuts and do it all. But what'll happen is, unless you're doing a really good job at documenting it, you're going to have a hard time telling me that you're getting both effective work done during the day, full time, and partying all night and retaining it all. I mean, I guess that's a good physical specimen if you can physically do all that and then mentally keep track of all that. But like I say, most people, you go do 8 hours a SHOT Show, that's a lot. And then you go home to your hotel. After you go eat, go figure out some place to enjoy Vegas. There is, we are going to Vegas. There are some advantages. Airfares are pretty cheap, and there's amazing stuff to do in town. So go take advantage of that. But, with moderation, rest from the day's exercise, but then go back and start documenting it. At least the pros are going to go back and start documenting it, or at least the people that take it seriously, I guess. I don't, people are going to take offense if they don't, but essentially people that are taking it seriously are going to go back and they're going to start documenting everything so that they're not losing stuff, so that they're not forgetting stuff. And that's going to seriously take, an hour, 2 hours. And then if you really want sleep, that you're attacking the day, it's just not possible to do all this stuff. And people can act like it is, but you're going to end up sacrificing something somewhere. And the people that talk about going to so many events and stuff don't talk about dragging ass and getting there at 11 a.m. the next day. And and since they haven't done that, or they've been doing that for a number of years, they don't remember what it's like from 9 to 11 on Tuesday, or Tuesday, I always think Tuesday, or Wednesday, the second day of SHOT. And then more importantly, that third day of SHOT, there's a bunch of people. I've had people, because there was, they give you beer when you're walking around SHOT Show. And there used to be like, it was Super Bowl and stuff. So one year I got beer and I was walking around, and I don't drink. I mean, shit, I drink a beer or two every year, and it's usually at SHOT Show. So I happened to get a beer, and I'm cheap. So somebody gave me a bottle of beer and I was walking around with it. So I drank it, and I talked to somebody, and I haven't never talked to them since. And I'm convinced they think I'm a drunk. And it's one of the reasons I'm like, dang it, what the hell was I walking around with beer? And I smelled like beer, I guess. I was walking around with beer. But not that I care so much about impressing somebody that would be that offended by one beer, but that's a perception. You don't get to choose what other people's perceptions of you are and stuff. So anyway, We're going off on a bunch of tangents here,
Yep,
but
yep. Let's get out of here, and actually, the same questions you have for SHOT, same things can go for NRA. Same thing can go to Great American Outdoor Show. So I feel if we get stuff in, cool. If we not, we can put it off until those two opportunities too, because a lot of the questions are still going to be relevant.
that's a great idea. Yeah, let's do that. Because it's seriously this the show doesn't matter. The industry is the same and everything else is the same. So dig it. Yeah, so that's right around the 2 hour mark. You don't have any more shoots before SHOT.
No, what I'm going to do is send all my dates out to the ranges I already have relationships with Monday. And hopefully by Friday, I'll have their times, their dates set up for the entire year. And I'm leaving gaps in it because I'm approaching 2 new ranges in Jersey. And I'm also leaving time for me to hit other places, talk to Edgar in Colorado and see if we can do something in Florida or Arizona or wherever. But we want to get out and do a tour somewhere outside of the East Coast in 2024. So by the end of the month, we're going to have a schedule for pretty much a lot of stuff. And I'm definitely going to be a train and learn down in Georgia. So a lot of crap is going on. Oh, and I'm going to be in Ambassador Academy in Florida in February. And of course, SHOT Show in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's already like 3 months of stuff to travel to in addition to your shoots.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks for jumping in. And thanks again to everybody who joins us live. If you're listening in the future as a podcast, you're still part of the show. There was a really big audience today chatting and I guess watching because they weren't all chatting. But you're a bigger audience out there listening as a podcast. So thanks to those folks. And again, thanks to people that leave the thumbs or the likes or the hearts or whatever the platform has for you there because so few people do it. It really does make a difference. We didn't get to a couple of questions. So let's throw it out there. What's your favorite or who makes your favorite Gray Man product? Wilderness Tactical here in Arizona makes some nylon stuff that's all Berry compliant. So made with USA materials that are good. They make sort of discreet looking things. They could be like a photography thing or maybe a medical apparatus. You know, you wear something that looks like a big kind of a square rectangle looking thing, but it's a discreet kind of a flap. It's not really a fanny pack because again, it looks more like maybe a tool or a medical device. It's not necessarily concealed, but it's for people that want something in a holster-ish type of thing that isn't a fanny pack or it isn't a bag with straps or whatever. Other than that, I mean, the companies that make stuff in the USA are the ones I like. Mystery Ranch and Blue Force Gear and
Gray Ghost Tactical.
There you go. Tactical Tailor. If it's made in the USA,
Mm-hmm.
little extra. I mean, if it's made in the USA, I'll deal with it. If it is made by a veteran or something cool, it's even better. But most of the time, I'm all about the stuff that's made in the USA. Typically, you get so much effort into paying for everybody's healthcare situations and taxes and sick days. I can't even imagine everything you got to pay for when you have a whole bunch of people in an employee situation. So if you're dedicated to all of that, you're usually not putting out fly-by-night products that suck. You know what I mean? You're putting out products that are going to last for a good long time. And I mean, look at I always forget to mention Spec Ops. Spec Ops is my bags that I use at SHOT Show. And I always debated if I should bring a different bag to SHOT every year. And I just didn't because I'm lazy, I guess. And I just didn't after a while because this bag is amazing. It does everything I want it to do. I'm super familiar with it. And if I show it to somebody, you're not going to know that it's 20 something years old. It's insane. It's 20 something years old, I guess. Like, it's crazy. And I guess it can't be 20, but it's definitely way over. It's getting close to 20. It's way over a decade and a half old, or getting close to a decade and a half, probably. I don't know, somewhere in there. But and it's been a SHOT Show and it goes everywhere else where I go. So good gear lasts forever, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And that's why, well, in addition to the fact that you're keeping all that money here, big money here, you're buying gear that's going to last a good long time.
Yeah, I'm a cheap bastard. and I'm friends with the dude that worked there, and he gave me a lot of stuff that we raffled off. But I did keep 2 bags of my own that I've used Jiminy Crickets since 2014, 2015. And usually I just bought the cheapest, foreign made bags, and they wouldn't last a year. And these are going on years of my use and abuse and traveling around the country. So yeah, I mean, really, when it comes to gear that you use, and yes, I'm a little gray man with some of the stuff. And as long as everything you have is intact, you can have a camouflage bag. That doesn't scream, I carry a gun, a knife, a first aid kit, and a flashlight. It's all the other accoutrement to go with it that kind of screams that. So you can have something and still be gray man, especially with the amount of
camouflage is a color, right? Camouflage
Yep.
is just a style choice. But like you say, if you're decked out, that implies something. But if you're just, I mean, I think you could probably have like a couple of accessories and people are going to just think you're military styled or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, up to a point. And then after a while, when you look like you just came off a Recoil magazine ad, as my wife says, hey, the people from NRA just showed up in town. How do you know? Well, they all look alike.
My problem is,
If
if I wear a plaid shirt, then they're like, "Oh, you're trying to act like some kind of lumberjack." And if I wear like camouflage, like, "Oh, you're trying to be some kind of special operations soldier." And if I wear a like a members only jacket, they're like, "Oh, you're supposed to be a race car driver." So people are going to throw that at you. You can't help what people are going to throw at you.
Yeah, it was just funny. I was like, you guys pride yourself on gray man. And my wife read the entire NRA convention, pulled up in Atlanta because we get there days earlier. So there are different conventions going on in town. Well, as a hotel guest, especially in downtown, you get to see them, because that's where they book everyone. And you just saw a sea change in clientele that Thursday. Just start arriving. So yeah, whatever. Can't wait to see everybody.
I thought there was something else I was going to mention, but I won't. So we'll end it there, and we'll say, thanks everybody. Well, I'm going to still do a show next week, so I don't know if you're going to have time if you're traveling or what. Clover will be on the road. He doesn't jump in anymore anyway. But I don't know if you're traveling on Saturday or not.
No.
Then I'm still going to do a show. I imagine it'll still be SHOT Show related. Well, I guess I was going to say again, if anybody has any of these other topics that they wanted to chat about before the show, feel free. But we'll chat about this stuff again. I guess I'll throw a commercial up here and we'll be done.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday.
See, that's what it was. I knew I was forgetting something. In 4 hours, you get the opportunity to check out Suicide Prevention Saturday, which is, in my opinion, one of the most important efforts that's being done for Second Amendment awareness and activism. Since the antis use the numbers against us, and those numbers, when we say the numbers, we know what we're really talking about. There's the 2 out of every 3, or I was told most recently, just over 50% of deaths from a gun are suicide. So a majority, and it's only the way it is right now because there's an influx of the data of the craziness of the riots and stuff that happened right before all the bullshit. So once those numbers, that was a little spike in murder rate, right? But obviously that'll go away because it was a spike. So once that goes back, we'll be back, unfortunately, closer to 60% of gun deaths are from suicide. Since almost every anti-position rests on those numbers, being able to have confidence and awareness on how to have these conversations about these numbers and about the issues and how that interacts with policy and the anti's horrible position of let's only address one dangerous item. Their transparent agenda is obvious. So Brooke has a great consistent effort to talk about that suicide prevention as well as mental health awareness in different ways every Saturday. So there's other organizations out there that do things consistently and regularly, but almost none of them even address suicide, if at all. And if they do, they just reference a couple of 3 organizations out there. And of those organizations, the only thing that's happening consistently is one person in Connecticut who does it on a consistent basis every Saturday. So if you're going to support anything in the community, I'd recommend supporting a Great Start Shooting School, Brooke's project that allows her to do the Suicide Prevention Saturday. So this show will end and it'll be pointed over to her show. So if you haven't checked it out, please do. If you do normally, go check it out. If you're not going to be able to get to it for some reason, go over and leave a like to let the logarithm know that it's appreciated by and valued by people who are out here. And maybe a comment so that the human beings on the other end of that one can appreciate that there's people out there listening to what they're putting out there. And then share it around. These conversations that she puts out aren't, well, sometimes they're kind of scripted. She kind of plays it by ear. She kind of does it in different ways. So they're worth checking out and often are very valuable and worth sharing. You never know who's going to value or who's going to get something when it's a kind of, I don't want to say random, but, there's a lot going on with her show. She'll do different things. So it can reach a lot of different people in different ways. So I recommend you check that out. Later on in the evening, you got DM Foss hosting the overnight. Tonight is number 80. So I'm assuming there's going to be some special events, probably a lot of free stuff. There's probably lots of reasons to listen to that one. But seriously, the overnights are typically the topic-driven show. So tonight's topic, it says, is deep thoughts. I have no idea what that means, but we'll find out. In between the two, Hillbilly Up does a live show. Recommend you check that one out as well if you want to just listen to some people having a good conversation. And then She Fires. I think you still have a show scheduled for tomorrow talking about ride sharing. That's a good one for people that are about to be going to Vegas. You do that, huh?
Oh yeah, we split it 4 ways, so we can do it going and coming back. Sometimes we split up because I have other things to do. My guys are Gun and Gear Review podcast. I do the advocacy, and some nights there's advocacy work to be done or events to go to. So we split up. But yeah, that's what we try to do. Everybody gets a day, or we just switch it out. One guy pays going, one guy pays coming back, and we just switch out the entire week. I think we spoke about renting the car. Renting the car, parking killed it. The idea of car rental, paying for parking killed the idea of renting a car.
Oh yeah, that can't even imagine. I drive, so it's more of a potential for me. But yeah, if you're renting a car and then paying for parking, come on. You might as well just invest in Uber if you're going to create that situation. They probably did. I'm an Uber leech. I just thought of it. I was going to say, I've only driven Ubers. I did drive them with Marco. Remember that rally in DC in 2019?
So, November 2019.
Yeah, I was parked in front of Marco's place, and he took us, because I've never Ubered before then. He Ubered us into town and then back. So, and I didn't know what the hell am I going to do? So I was cheap and I didn't have any money, so he Ubered. He paid for it, I guess I should say. So I didn't even think about it, but yeah, I definitely leached off of him for an Uber. And then the only time I ever Ubered at, I think, did I Uber from that? I can't remember how I got home from that Brower House place that Arms Room Radio hosted with FPC last year. I'm almost positive I didn't walk home from it. I think I might have. Did we? We didn't go out together. I don't remember how I went.
Because after that, I went to the DC project party with Matt from Meet the Pressers.
And I stayed more towards the end of it, or did I go somewhere else? Yeah, I honestly can't remember. But instead of trying to think of it now, I'm just saying I've only Ubered a few times, and every time I didn't even think that, oh yeah, somebody's paying for this. I just wasn't even thinking about it. So I never even was like, oh, let me get half of that or whatever. I just was an Uber leech. But that's because I'm so used to driving everywhere. I guess I'm just not even thinking about it. I'm just not used to having every time you get in the backseat of a car nowadays, you're paying $20 for it. Because Vegas used to be the land of somebody gets a rental car or whatever, a few people get a rental car, and everybody's just escorting each other around or shuttling each other around, or at least you're jumping in the back of seats of cars because somebody's going somewhere else or something. Or at least there's been a lot of that over the years. All right, with that, we'll end it. Thanks, DJ, for dropping some links out there. And I already had the commercial go, so we'll just end it cold right there.